Coming to you live from my apartment, it's Rob Has a Podcast. And now here's a guy who just ate a very healthy portion of In-N-Out Burger with Aras right before we started the podcast. I'm Rob Cesternino. Hello, everybody, and welcome. Welcome back. Very excited to have here with me in the studio one of the Mount Rushmore Rob Has a Podcast guests. For sure. First ballot.
Wow. That's quite an honor.
Welcome back, Aras Baskauskas.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you for having me.
Yes.
I hope the viewers appreciate the video and all the upper thigh that I brought with me.
Yeah. Well, look, that's what they're coming for.
Yeah. They want to see that.
Yes, this is really how we're getting this is the OTT of Survivor podcasting.
Right. I don't really know what that is. I know there's a Big Brother reference, but
yeah.
I mean, I know what it stands for, but I don't know what it really stands for.
Anyway, thank you very much for lunch. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. No problem.
Yes.
As a general rule, when I come to see you, I like to bring food.
Well, thank you.
Not always for you, for me most of the time.
Look, this was a change of pace.
Exactly.
And I appreciated it. Thank you so much. So
This
is good because we're recording this around lunchtime. So now we can hopefully it won't go into some sort of like a food coma about 20 minutes
or
into
digestive sounds.
Well, whatever.
I do have a history of digestive soundtracks.
Yes, that's
on
true.
Survivor,
that's true. We looked that up one time.
Yeah. It's not my proudest moment, but it's also not my most embarrassing, believe it or not.
On Survivor or in real life?
Just in general.
Yeah.
I've done worse.
You've done worse.
Yeah.
Intentionally?
Is it ever intentional?
Oh, it depends. I mean, some people.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. Okay, well, let's move on.
All right. Well, anyway, great to see you. I appreciate you taking time out of your day. I know you're very busy with everything that you're doing over at Shop Dawn.
Yes, Christy Dawn. We changed the name.
It's not. Oh, okay. I had no idea there was a rebranding.
Well, we didn't have a choice, but that's a whole other conversation. No. Apparently, there was another women's clothing company in Germany that named itself Dawn the same exact time we did, but they beat us to the trademark.
Dawn Meehan.
No. Getting a little toothy here. Huh?
Yes.
No. So we changed the name of Christy Dawn and.
All right. Well, anyway, very excited to have you here to talk about episode number 3 of Millennials.
Excited to talk about it.
Gen X. And you strike me as somebody who I feel like that this is a theme that's interesting to you. I feel like that, like Jeff, I feel like that you might be very interested in talking about the theme.
Actually, I'm antithetical to. First of all, I don't like themes on Survivor.
Okay.
I think they're kitschy and unnecessary, and I hate how Jeff is always trying to come back to the theme.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there is nothing about the game of Survivor that needs to be related to the theme, in my opinion. I get it that they need it for marketing, but like once the game is on, the game is on.
But I think of you sort of like a millennial.
Really?
Yeah, I feel like you're you like Bernie Sanders.
Yeah, I love Bernie.
Yeah, so that's like a millennial.
Okay, all right. Is it?
I think so.
I mean, Gen
he's very popular with the millennials. They talk about Hillary's millennial problem.
Right. Well, I think that's more a reference to her problem because I feel like a lot of Gen Xers were Bernie supporters too. No,
I guess so. But I feel like that that's Bernie's thing, right? That he really had the millennials.
So what's the breakdown of age? Like where do I sit actually? Because I was born in 81.
Yeah. So I figured you're a couple years younger than I am, but I think that you would technically be a Gen X. You'd be like around that like Ken sort of like just on the opposite side.
Yeah, that's kind of I more identify with the Gen Xers than the millennials when I watch.
Yeah.
Even though I don't really identify with either. Because
Yes.
the theme for me is like it's just that's just window dressing.
Well, as many of our listeners have pointed out, that you were on the original season that was split up by age.
Right, that's right.
Yes.
But that was only split up for an episode. And then we merged. Which brings us to what I'd like to talk about first is what the hell what was the summit? You guys, you and Steven talked about it at length last night, but the summit was like the biggest waste of time in the history of Survivor. I think we can say that.
Yeah, we all thought that it was going to be a twist.
Like I thought they were going to be like, all right, now you're your own tribe. This is what I thought they should have done.
Yeah,
they should have said you're your own tribe, but you're only your own tribe for one tribal council or for one immunity challenge.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you lose, you guys go to tribal and then you vote someone out and then you go back to your original tribes. Mm-hmm. If you don't lose, somebody, in your original tribe, one or the other, is going to have to vote someone out and then you go back. But you're away from the politics from your original tribe for one tribal
But if your tribe goes, if this new Angkor
Right,
type
then you have to
tribe,
vote somebody out.
Then you have to vote somebody out.
And that would be. I thought that would be an interesting.
And then it's only for 1 week, and then you go back to your original tribe.
Right, exactly.
This is very interesting. I like this. I mean anything I think would have been fun to try.
Better than what they did.
Yeah, it just is so odd that they did something like this here in season 33, where it's like, hey, the game is fast.
Yeah, it didn't make a lot of sense.
And I wonder if maybe that they were afraid to say, okay, well, it has to be millennials versus Gen Xers, and if we change it up, we're getting away from what we know is what's working.
Right.
Our theme,
but is it working?
Well, I think that I feel like that Jeff is super excited about this theme.
He is.
Like he has so much enthusiasm at the tribal council about now we're getting into it about the millennials. Now we're getting to the bottom of what this generation's all about. Like this is what Gen Xers are all about.
This is how you text.
Yes.
Which I don't know. I tend to like. I feel like a little bit. Pardon me, Jeff, for saying this, but I feel like he's like trying to revive his talk show career by bringing issues that might be appropriate for daytime TV into tribal council. And not to say there aren't issues that are like interesting to bring up via Survivor, but this just feels like such a stretch to me. Because you're taking, like, first of all, the people that get cast on Survivor, you and I can agree, are whack jobs. It's like, you're not getting like an
Are you talking about Paul Wachter?
No, I'm talking about all of us.
Is whack job his nickname?
Sometimes I go to bed at night wondering, what is so fucked up about me that they cast me on Survivor? And I'm not joking when I say that. Like they choose a very specific group of people to go on this show.
Yes.
And so it's not like an accurate portrayal of the millennials or the Gen Xers. And
it's not like a census.
No, it's not a census. It's not a census. But I mean, I know Jeff gets off on it and he's like,
he likes it. He likes it.
Like really the texting thing at Tribal for me was like, I was like, what? This is worse than the like finale night when John Cochran gets an interview about what else he's doing in his life. Like, that's
well, I posted on Instagram before that I had a text from my mom where she said, "Sorry, I missed you." And it was the letter U.
So your mom relates to the millennials.
It's a classic millennial mom.
A Sesternino mother in the millennial category.
Yeah, I didn't know that's a thing. But according to Jeff, language is changing. The language is evolving, Stephen.
It is. Now let me ask you this. When you text, do you just text you?
I mean, I would have to be like in a really big hurry
yes.
if that was the case.
I would have to have a gun to my head and think I only had one last letter to text out because brevity is not that important when going from YOU to you for me. And honestly, when people text me you, I just think like, oh, you're classless.
Classless.
Maybe I don't go that far, but I'm like, come on, take a little time. And you're already not taking enough time to have a conversation with me in person or on the phone. So at least like spell these things out somewhat correctly.
Yeah. Now, Jeff talked about how when you text you, like see you later. Now, the word see, are you supposed to substitute SEE for the letter C?
Well, that's why I was surprised when Paul voted. I thought he was going to type CC, see you later. But he didn't. And it was a missed opportunity. I think we can all agree.
Yeah.
See you later. That's what he should have
What
written.
about later? Should I be putting L, the number 8, and then R?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like, I feel like if any of these contestants in the like moving forward have really any sense, they're only going to vote using shorthand millennial text language.
Yeah, that would be perfect.
That would be amazing
if we did that.
Mark my words, if I ever go back on Survivor, which I never will, but if I do, I will only vote in shorthand millennial texting language.
Yeah,
that's my commitment to you.
I mean, who's going to be out there that you're going to just like do like phonetic spelling of?
Well, first of all, if I went back out, obviously I'd tell you first and all you, and we'd work on it. We'd know the rest of the cast because it would only be a winter season, and we'd figure out like how.
Well, why am I there?
Well, because we do this. The only way I could tell everyone is to be here with you.
Okay, that's
You
fine.
mean why aren't you on the season?
Oh, I thought. Okay, got it.
No. I would
so
before
you're
the
be
season
on,
starts. I'd come on to Rob Has a podcast.
Not like we're pre-gaming
for this. Like, and in my season, the season I go back and was like, most boring winners season.
Yeah,
I would go on that season. So there'd be other boring winners to compete with. And it'd be like, all right, what's shorthand for Fabio? You know, and we try to
Yeah.
figure that out via tech.
Well, Yule, you would just put the letter U and then L.
Right,
You just
obviously.
you drop the Y
Obviously.
on Yule.
Right. Yeah, that's true. But what about Earl? Would you do URL and it would be like a website reference?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think you could just drop the EA and then RL, I think would be Earl.
If you were going to do top 5 boring
and you would just be
letters,
RS. You would
RS
just
is easy.
you
That's
just
way, yeah.
Get rid of
yeah, exactly.
the A's.
You certainly wouldn't do ODD space US. That would be the antithesis of brevity.
Right. So I think we're onto something.
I'd like to do it. In fact, I think that's something we should do is figure out shorthand for all the current contestants so that we can at least encourage in episodes moving forward these people to vote this way, even though it's already been filmed.
Right. Maybe that what they can do in the future as Gen Z goes on to play Survivor, maybe you won't even vote with a marker. There'll just be an emoji of everybody that's on your
What would
tribe.
your emoji be?
I think it would just look like me.
Oh, okay. So you wouldn't choose like emojis that already exist?
No, I don't think it would be like sort of like what, like the bell emoji for Rob. I think that's like hieroglyphics now at this point. I think you would just like get the emoji that looks like you.
Because I do feel like a
and then
bell
you just
emoji would be yours.
You point to it, yeah,
Okay, all right.
and go from there.
That works. Yeah. This emoji.
That emoji.
He's out.
And vinyl records, you in or out on the vinyl?
I love vinyl, but I mean, honestly, vinyl's kind
Jeff
of...
seems to hate vinyl.
Yeah, that was weird. It was weird. Kent loves it, though.
It's like a shot as like hey, you're one step away from being that guy who's talking about vinyl.
The whole thing with Jeff.
Like Baba Booey.
Yeah, it felt like Jeff was like, he's mid-50s now. How old's Jeff?
I believe he's 54, 53.
Yeah, he's like trying to be cool and young.
Yeah.
He's disregarding his past and all the wonderful things that came with it.
I do think he's legitimately interested in this subject.
He is, but I don't know why. It just does. There's no relevance.
I agree. I'm interested in this subject too. I just don't know if it is more interesting than what we might be talking about in the game.
Which for me, it kind of it has the same level of value as people being like, oh, the game's evolved.
Right.
I don't pay that any mind either. I'm like, the game hasn't evolved. It's been the same game. In my opinion, when you watch Survivor played by new people, it's a little bit slower. There's always some idiot that's going to try to play it too fast, but generally speaking, there's a lot more naivety in the game. And with the exception of a Tony Vlachos, all those seasons look pretty similar to me from season 3 to now.
Okay.
If you watch them, new all new contestants. And then when you have returners, there's a speed to the game that's much faster.
See, I disagree that I feel like that if you went back and watched Survivor Africa and then you went and watched Survivor Worlds Apart or Co-Wrong, they're moving a lot faster than
maybe
Survivor Africa is really slow, with all due respect.
Okay, so let's move on. Let's go from All Stars.
Okay.
The first All Stars moving forward. Okay, so what was the first season after All Stars that was new cast?
Nicaragua, another season of
All right, fine. Panama. Let's start with season 12 and
yes.
record.
Okay.
Because I felt like season 12, Panama, I felt the game was played from start to finish. I felt like there was game being played. Now, granted, I was there, so I was privy to more than got shown.
Right.
But I felt like the game was being played the whole time through.
Yeah, I mean, things weren't flipping topsy-turvy and moving as fast.
But that's not necessarily a positive evolution. That's just people
so this is a hot take, Aras, that I feel like you're saying that yes, the game is moving faster, but is it better?
Right. I mean, the best thing you could possibly take, for example, last night's vote.
Yeah.
Stupid vote for most of the people involved in that vote.
Yeah.
Specifically the women in the majority alliance.
Yes.
But they made a big move because it's an evolved game. But unfortunately, it's a de-evolution of the game.
Yeah.
You want to have an alliance that stays together for a certain period of time, that does build trust, and then there's some sort of consistency in the game. Because what you've just done is you've opened the door to these 3 people on the bottom, particularly David, who can who knows what David's going to do in this game.
Right.
David's showing himself I trust you immediately, and I'll vote anyone out. I do not want to be playing a Survivor with David. I don't
vote him out
immediately. He would have been who I voted out that night. There's just no reason to trust David. Period. He's shown himself to be not trustworthy. So I think in the game, in my opinion, just because the game's moving faster doesn't mean it's a smarter play.
So to put this into sports analogy, so I'm saying like, hell, like, hey, did you see that NFL game? Like, man, passing era when Cam Newton passed for 500 yards, 42, 37. Oh man, that was so exciting. 3 turnovers. Almost like there was so much action going on in the game. You're saying like, hey, what was wrong with 13-10, 178 yards rushing for Marcus Allen?
Right. Well, it's kind of the analogy. Like, I love watching stupid plays. Like, I much prefer badly played Survivor than like stay with the Alliance. I much rather watch that. But that being said, if I was going to play it, that's not how I would play the game. I would not jump ship really quickly. I would build alliances, and I wouldn't make a big move until the last third of the game, because unless I needed to, it's not necessary.
And you're saying that this is the ideal for playing the game, or ideal for the kind of season that you want to watch?
Well, for playing the game, not making big moves is the way you got to do it. If you're watching it, dude, please, everyone make a big stupid move early on so this thing gets jumbled up. Because I feel like Gen X, that tribe, has gone from relatively uninteresting to now it's like, well, what's going to happen? We don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
You know, like we've slotted in David, who for me is like the star of that tribe in terms of like what he might be able to do. So we've given him more life, and so now it's more interesting. But from a player's perspective, like, okay, think about who flipped in that episode. It was the women, right?
Right.
So Jessica was kind of
Gen X Jessica.
Like, how is Jessica in a better position now than she was if she would have stayed with her alliance?
Let me explain this to you, okay? It's
ahead.
real simple. All right, Aras? See if you can follow along.
Okay,
At the final 6, Paul was going to stick with the men's alliance.
Right.
And vote out the women and turn on them.
So you're saying she didn't want to go to Rocks?
Yes.
She was avoiding Rocks.
Paul and Brett and Chris were going to be the final 3. And then she wasn't going to be able to use the day 36 legacy advantage.
Okay.
Because she's going to come in 6th place.
So it was about the legacy advantage, and it was about the going to Rocks, avoiding going to Rocks.
Yes.
But she, like, you know, we're obviously not privy to every conversation out
Right.
there. But to me, it seemed like he's a great shield. Paul is like, you couldn't script a better person to have out there in the lead. Like, yeah, just get out there, Paul, offend people, be the target, and I'll just ride in your wake. And when you go down, that's when I'll make my move, you know?
That's what you would think.
That's what you'd think. So,
That's what you would think.
But I think that what you saw last night is what people like you would say, oh, this is the evolved game, right? Even though it's a stupid move, it's still part of like the new Survivor.
But you still don't think that that's better, that people are thinking so far ahead that they're making potentially bad moves because they feel like I'm playing the game, I'm playing a bigger game? I mean, if this was, because I'm telling you what the story is going to be here today, if that move doesn't happen,
right?
Where CC gets voted out,
right?
And we're having a totally different conversation today.
A boring episode, no doubt.
A boring vote. And it's not a fun podcast today.
Agreed. Again, so we need to separate like viewing versus gameplay. So here's what I think. I think like, okay, 2 things. I think they're casting different people. So I think maybe that's more where the evolution comes, because they're casting people that are willing to make bigger moves, which means they aren't. A lot of people, as I think you'd agree with this, when they go on Survivor, they get out there and they're paralyzed by fear. It's scary, not just to play the game, but like you're out in nature. There's all these people you don't know. There's cameras. I mean, the cameras, you forget about those pretty quickly. And then all of a sudden you have to make this big move, and like it's easier to take the safe bet than to make a big move. And so they're casting people that have a little bit more willingness to take risks because that's what they want. So I don't think it's necessarily like about, oh, the game's evolved. These people just have a little bit more courage. Maybe we'll call it courage for now. But that doesn't mean they have more intelligence, right?
Yeah, I'm not saying that.
Just because you're willing to make a big move doesn't mean it's smart. Like, I think for me, like my season, like I didn't make any big moves almost ever in my season. But that didn't mean that I wasn't thinking about the end the entire way through.
Yeah.
I just was like, no, that's not smart. That's not smart. Okay, now's when I have to do this. We got to get Shane.
Yeah, we blindsided Shane.
Right. And that was a big move. But that was like pretty much all that I had to do.
But, I saw Shane recently.
Oh, really? How's it going?
Good.
Good. He's got his own podcast.
I did. That's why I was on his radio show.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And how many viewers does he have?
I have no idea, but it seems like it's a legit operation.
Yeah, no, I feel like it is. I feel like it is. Do you feel like you're now or in a rivalry with Shane
No,
Powers.
oh, definitely not. Please, I wouldn't come out of hiding if I felt like I was in a rivalry with Shane Powers. I'd be cowering
wouldn't let Dom out
under
of the
my
house.
sofa, right? Please, God forbid.
That guy was made for talking. He's
yeah.
great. He's great.
Yeah,
So I
classic Gen Xer.
guess classic Gen Xer, classic Gen Xer, and that guy knew how to use his BlackBerry. I bet
Right.
he used to you.
I wonder.
Like you should pull out your text chain with Shane and see how he's spelling you.
You know, I got to get my older phone that
All
my
right,
new
we'll do
phone
it
doesn't
later.
have the.
We'll do it later.
Okay, you tell me. Sorry,
But I think like to try to like wrap up this like concept of like the evolved game, it certainly with more seasons,
yeah.
there's more theories on how to play it.
Right.
Certainly. So there is going to be evolution. I don't want to pretend like evolution doesn't happen with game theory and whatnot, specific to Survivor. But for the most part, I feel like it's the same game.
So you feel like when Steven says in Survivor Cambodia, there are voting blocks, I believe that the game has evolved. Is that just hyperbole?
No, I'm willing to say it has with returners.
Okay.
But I'm not willing to say that with new players.
Yes.
There's just such a learning curve and an emotional learning curve to the game. Like I remember specifically on Survivor Panama, Exile Island, I really wasn't playing in the first 3 days.
Yes.
And it took when the old women came, that tribe came back in, they're like, all right, here's who got voted off. And I was like, whoa, this game's real. Like
Timber Tina.
right, this game's real. If Tina went home, that means I could go home. And that's when I really
Wait, did you
started
have
playing
some
the game.
like close connection to Timber Tina?
No, none at all. But I think there was just something that was very primal about like, it felt like, oh, Tina got killed is what it felt like. And if I don't wake up, I could be next.
By the way, that we recently had a first boot draft podcast. Vitas was not in it. This was only for first time boots. And my first pick in the draft was Timber Tina.
Oh, really?
So in the first boot season, who's going to win?
Oh,
we're drafting for that.
interesting.
I felt like that she got royally hosed.
She did.
That
She
she
did.
would have been a really good player. She would have been a provider.
She definitely would have been a provider.
She would. I think that people would have kept her around. I think that she's somebody who seemed like she was a fan of the show. Maybe could have made some moves. Maybe she doesn't win that season.
I wouldn't go Tina as my first pick.
Yes.
I go Zane.
He was on my team too.
Yeah, Zane gets my first pick because Zane's incredible.
He's incredible.
And Tina, I feel like Tina would kind of have the story arc of a Terry second season return, like where he's like very much a provider, but not willing to be as cutthroat as necessary.
Got it.
That's where I feel like Tina would go.
Yeah,
but I don't know. We've never really gotten to see her play much.
Who knows?
Suri flanked her, and that was it.
Well, I felt like that she was in a very bad situation of sort of like in a very small tribe with a caged animal that she had no idea was like this dangerous predator.
Perhaps one of the best
backed
players
into
in
a
the
corner.
history of Survivor.
Right, she had no idea.
Yeah, she had no clue.
But anyway, so that being said, going back to Panama, so when you guys were divided into tribes in that season where it's like, okay, you're the young men, did you look at it like, wow, that this is a tribe encapsulating what it's like to be a young person in my generation here in the first decade of the new millennium?
No, it really, Jeff wasn't into the themes at this point yet. I think he still believed in the concept of Survivor standing singularly on its own without themes at that point.
Because by the next season in Cook Islands,
I think our season is what inspired him to really focus on themes, because you had like race wars.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah,
you had a lot.
Because I
of
think
things.
in that season, you have the people in that tribe like, okay, well, this is, this is what, like, this tribe is like, we're doing this because this is what black people do. This is what Asian people do.
Right.
And you're having those conversations
how many
in that season.
There was 4 tribes, right?
Right.
There was white, black, Hispanic, and Asian.
Right.
Right. And how many were on each tribe? 5?
5.
And how long did they stay together? How many episodes before they merged?
I want to say it was 2. They did 2 that season.
So even two episodes is more than what happened for Panama Exile Island.
Right.
It's really hard to create any kind of association in one episode, or like identification with like, oh, this is my tribe in one episode, especially the first episode, because you're just like so excited to be out there and so nervous.
Right. But did dividing the tribes by age in your season, did any of that stick to where like people were saying like, oh, see, this is how you younger.
It actually, so nothing like that, but it did lead to some fears. Like the reason Danielle really wanted to get Bob Dog out instead of Bruce was because she was like, well, at the merge, it's going to be Aras, Bob Dog, Nick, and Austin, and they'll surely realign.
Get back together.
Right. There was that fear.
Because they'll say, hey, we're all Gen Xers.
But not because we were young, just because we had an initial bond.
Yes, you were from
There
the
really
same...
wasn't, my first season, there really was no focus on like, oh, you're all young men. But what is interesting is our Final Four was one from each of those tribes, which was kind of interesting.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's go back and talk about this episode that we just saw last night. And so you are 100% in the camp that it was a mistake to vote off Paul.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Well, for everyone except for Cece, Kent, and David,
yes,
it was a mistake.
Okay. Talk about Ken, because I feel like that
I say Kent. It's Ken, huh?
It's Ken. Yeah.
I want to give him a T.
No T.
But like just put a T on him because his body, I can't stop looking.
You can't
it's
stop
so
looking
good.
at it.
It's so good.
Yeah, and you're getting too distracted.
Yeah, that's why I call him Kent
with Ken.
with a T.
So and he seems like a guy that you would hang out with, Ken, if he could wear a shirt.
Yeah, look, Kent seems like a good guy.
You would like,
but I don't know if Kent and I are going to be hanging out listening to vinyl. Together. I don't know about that.
Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe we're listening to poetry. Who knows?
Yeah. I think that he might be, I mean, based on what I'm saying, people are really liking him. He seems like he's the most popular so far.
Of the viewers.
I think so.
Yeah, no, he seems like a cool dude. Mm-hmm. He seems a bit of like a loner, which again, to me, like if this game was so evolved, the loner is like, that's a really bad choice to make.
Like I think other people are popular, but I think that some of the popular people are polarizing, where they have fans, but they also have detractors.
Right.
And I feel like
no one can
Ken
say anything bad about Ken.
Has been universally popular so far.
No, listen, I like Kent. I like Kent a lot. I will not call him Ken.
Yes, why? Are you trying to start
a
rivalry with him?
He needs the T. Is you can't just look at a man like that topless for long enough and feel okay about yourself.
Don't call him Ken Doll.
No,
He does not care for that.
Do not do that.
Yeah.
He started to go into victim mode for a moment there.
Yeah. Well,
maybe you know what it's like to be called a Ken doll your whole life.
Right.
Perfect in every way, sculpted.
Right.
Oh,
he was triggered by that.
He was. He really was.
Yeah. It's like, this is bringing me back.
It was interesting. There's actually a couple moments this episode. Obviously, Hannah with her Zeke moment.
Yeah.
And Kent, both of them kind of displayed a little bit of like real emotional moments.
Okay, well, talk about the Hannah thing where she ends up going back to camp after tribal council from last week, where she switches her vote. Let's just talk that through.
Okay, let's talk this through, but let's talk this through on my couch, because on my couch it's me, and then to my right it's my wife, and we're watching it, and my wife goes, "Wow, this is the conversation we have all the time."
Wait, now does Christy normally watch Survivor with you?
Every episode.
Oh, really? She's into it.
She loves it. We
Okay.
watch it. We watch it every Wednesday together. But I was like, God, this is a husband and wife conversation. And then I was listening to you and Steven last night, and you were like, yeah, we have it too. And I was like, oh, wow, it's universal. And then you were like, but you feel more like Hannah in this situation.
Yes, absolutely.
Which I don't. I'm always like, I don't want to talk about this right now. Just give me some space. I'm not saying you're wrong, but I just need some space.
Yeah.
So I really related to Zeke. Like and I think it's actually the healthy thing to do. Like you know that you're having an emotional outburst without putting it on anybody else. You separate yourself until you can calm down, and then you have a conversation.
But Steven and I talked about this last night, that on Survivor, do you always have the luxury to be able to take that personal time for yourself? Or are you saying that, you know what, it doesn't matter, you're still better off, take that, if you need the time, take the time?
Yeah, if you cannot, like, let's say, okay, let's take the alternative to what Zeke chose. He's emotional and he like just lashes out at Hannah. Well, now he may have absolutely severed that relationship altogether. Versus like, this might be uncomfortable for you, but I need this. Now, obviously there's the third alternative where he like handles his emotional issues really quickly, or he just like behaves on principle alone and says, okay, I'll talk to you. It's fine. And he calms her down before he calms himself down. But that's really hard to do. That takes like a Jedi master to do that. But I think what he did was like pretty smart. You know, calm yourself down emotionally and then deal with it as best you can with the intellect and not the emotions. Right.
Do you think that there's hope for the Freaks and Zeke's alliance to be able to get back together?
Well, I mean, Hannah wants to be used. She said that. So,
yeah,
you know, and because she voted with the main group, there is like some kind of access point there. If Zeke pulls Hannah back in, there is a potential that they could work with perhaps Michelle. I feel like Michelle might be maybe the person that they can really work with, because she's who kind of convinced Hannah to vote that way, and Michelle seems to be playing the best game on that side. So maybe she's open more than
So you think that she's potentially going to get away from working with that core four of the Triforce? They should call it Tri and then four and then like S at the end.
right. That's right. It's just, I like that.
At least it'd be a four.
Or maybe
in it
an emoji of a tricycle and then a four.
Yes.
And then an S.
Yes.
Now we're talking.
Yes.
Yeah.
Tri-fours.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, or just a 3.
3 4s. They should be 7s.
Right. Or yeah. Maybe that's what they should be.
Yeah.
I don't know. But it's hard to see. I mean, Hannah's such a good character, right?
Yes.
Like, she's such a great character, but so far from what we've seen from Hannah, like, she's not a great player.
Mm-hmm.
But she, like, there's a bit about her that, like, as a viewer, like, I want her to go far in the game and, like, kind of find her legs and find some confidence. But right now, she just, like that confessional where she's like, use me, please. Like, that says so much about her as a game player. Like,
how so?
Why would you ever want yourself to be used as a pawn in the game of Survivor? I guess the only reason is because if you're being used, that means you still have value, and that means someone's going to carry you.
Right. I think she's saying like, hey, I'm still useful to you. Don't just turn your back on me and throw me away and come after me. I mean, I do think it's like sort of like a fear-based thing.
Yeah, it's a very passive position. Like, I tend to think, like, if you're playing the game, like, look at the other people as how can you use them as well? Like, and it should be both ways. It shouldn't be one or the other. Like, you are going to be useful to other people, but they need to be useful to you too.
Yeah, and you are a hardcore game player.
In terms of, yeah, I threw my back out last week playing Risk.
So how did this happen then? So you had texted me earlier.
I was planning on coming to Dom's birthday party on Saturday.
Yes.
Friday night. Let me go back. Monday was my birthday, 35th birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. I was convinced that my mother, my brother, and my wife were buying me a 1966 Jeep Grand Cherokee.
Why?
Sorry, Wagoneer. Because I asked for it. I said, here's the link to it. It's like in terrible shape.
People buy you cars for your birthday?
Well, it wasn't that much. It needed a lot. It needed
are you sure you're not a millennial?
It was like a $1,500 car. Okay. So I was like, this is what I want. Put all your resources together. Take some of mine if you need it.
Okay. Why did you want a $1,500 car?
Because I had gotten into my head that I wanted to restore a car. It was like on my bucket list of things to do.
Okay.
All right. So, and I almost bought it myself previously, but my wife was like, no, it's going to cost so much money to restore. Why are you doing that? That's a waste of money.
Right.
Which I totally understand. So really what I wanted for my birthday wasn't even the car. It was the permission to restore the car. But I knew
is that something that you do, restore cars?
No, I've never done it, but it seems really interesting.
Seems fun.
Yeah, it seems like something to do.
Yes.
Like to get away from the banality of home life.
Yes.
Did I just say that? Didn't. It's so much fun there. I love my home. I love it. And I just thought like it'd be a fun project, right? So I email my mother and my brother and my wife all together in an email, and their responses. Unfortunately, sometimes I'm convinced that my family's playing Survivor, particularly when it comes to asking for a present. And their responses were so over the top, no effing way, you're an idiot if you think we're buying you a car, that I was like, this is over the top. This is OTT.
OTT.
They must have bought me a car. So I was sure of it. And my wife's like, do you want to have like a dinner or something? And I was like, no, I'm good. Like, I'm fine. I just can't. Wink, wink. I just bring the Wagoneer and then and let's party.
Yeah.
So the morning was pretty uneventful, and I kept all right, when's the surprise? I came home from work and my wife was gone, but there were 3 meditation cushions and
clue.
And my son had painted this painting, and it was like, happy birthday, Dad. And I was like, okay, cool. So my wife got me 3 meditation cushions, clearly not enough for a 35th birthday present. So there must be something else in
35 meditation cushions.
Right, exactly, at least. So I'm like, there must be a Jeep wagon. My mother never calls. So I'm like, okay, this is all adding up. I have a basketball game at 7. When I come home from playing my basketball game, there will be a Jeep Wagoneer in the driveway and a huge group of people to surprise me. So when I pull up from my game, I'm about half of a block away from my house, I turn the lights off, my headlights off, so I can surprise the surprise.
Yeah.
This is all happening in my head. And so I pull up and I get to the house and my wife's in bed and she's like watching something on her computer, and I was like, oh, that's it, huh?
Yeah.
I was pretty bummed out. So I communicated. I took my moment. I took my space. I did what Zeke did.
Yes.
And then the next day I said, you know what? I was a little bit disappointed.
Yes.
Maybe we should have a dinner. And she said, great. So on Friday we had a dinner, and she knows I love to play games. And so we decided to play Risk.
Yes.
So we're playing Risk, and I have South America and I take Africa. So now I have everything. Those two. And there's really only one other person in the game who's like at my level of troops. And so where him and I border, I put like 15 troops on each of those countries, which I think is enough. And it wasn't enough. And he ended up ransacking all of Africa, and he left like 2.
So how did you throw your back out?
I guess I got so mad. I didn't say anything, but I just internalized it, and I stood up and I was like, my back. And so then I went to get acupuncture and cupping the next day.
Cupping?
Yeah. I mean, can you see it? Is there still any evidence?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't see any. I see one. I see one.
Yeah. And like, so, sorry about that. So that's the story. And I blame my wife. She didn't get me a Wagoneer. But
Okay.
yeah, I threw my back out playing Risk.
I mean, are we going to start a Kickstarter for your
For my back? Or for my Wagoneer?
Wagoneer? What kind of car is that?
You can Google it. It's beautiful. It's like a beautiful old
What is it? A Jeep?
Jeep Wagoneer.
Jeep Wagoneer,
Yeah.
1965. I mean,
66. It was a
is it
66
like a
that I
station? Is it
wanted.
a station wagon?
It's a little bit like a station wagon. Think of like, think of like a Cherokee now, but just with like, just made with heavier materials and less efficient. Yeah, that's what I wanted.
This is what you want?
That's what I wanted.
I don't know if you could see this on the.
Here, you can just pop that in like as a screenshot there.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted. But
Boy.
it was like rusted and
Yeah, with paneling or no paneling?
the 66 doesn't come with wood paneling,
Yeah.
but you could always do that,
Boy, I mean, this is one step away from the vinyl records.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
You and
Kent would have
driving
appreciated
into
it.
the sunset.
Exactly. Listening, I would have put a record player in the back.
Yeah.
And he would have written poetry while I drove off.
Yeah, I think so. Wow.
Yeah. So,
All right. So let's bring this back to Survivor.
I can't
somehow.
believe I just told that whole story because it really had nothing to do with
It was
last
good.
night's
It was
episode.
good. But you are an intense game player.
I am,
And
yeah.
we were talking about with PG last week the idea of like a reality mafia.
Oh, that would be
I know.
fun.
And you take this very serious.
Yeah, I like mafia.
Yeah.
Another quick mafia story.
Yes.
Drugs also in this story. So if you don't like drugs, turn it off now. It was my bachelor party, and we went camping, and there was like 12 of us.
Yes.
And we decided that they asked me what I wanted. Like, hey, do you want to go to Vegas? I was like, no, let's go camping. That seems like more fun.
Right.
Just the guys. And
they got you meditation cushions.
no, but we were playing Mafia.
Yes.
And like the first 2 rounds, I was doing great. I think I won both of them. I was in the Mafia both of them. And in between the second and the third round, someone had like lit up a joint. So I took 1 hit,
Yes.
and I came back into the group to play. And, and I was Mafia again. And I did not want to be high and be Mafia. I was like, no, I can't lie when I'm high, first of all. Shoot. Like, dang
Yes.
it. What am I going to
Yes.
do? And I think like the first question, they were like, Aras, are you in the Mafia? And I just looked at him and said, I can't answer that question. And I was out. So to those at home, do not smoke medical marijuana and play Mafia at the same time.
Right. But how was your back?
It was for
that
my
time?
back. Obviously,
Yeah.
marijuana's for my back. Clearly.
Talk about this showmance, Figgy and Taylor. Do you have strong feelings on this?
Not as strong as they do.
Whoa.
Whoa. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that Paul had
I'll
said
take
in my
that.
exit
I'll take
interview.
that.
Yeah, go for it. It's right there. So one of the things that I was talking about with Paul today in the exit interview, they on the episode they made it like very like we didn't tell the Gen Xers anything.
Right.
We kept it really cool. Paul says we knew the whole time that was a relationship. They didn't hide it from anything. And that they knew what was going on.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed a little bit strange that the question would have been brought up and then not asked from the other side. Like, hey, so are there any romances over on the Gen Xers? But you'd think that the next question would have been like, no, what about you guys?
You don't think that the millennials would have been coy, played it cool?
But like, so it was Figgy. Who are the 4 millennials that were in that summit?
Okay,
that
so
all important summit.
It was Figgy, Taylor, Jay, and Will.
So like, what do Jay and Will have? Like, why would they cover Figgy and Taylor's tracks? Like, there's no real advantage for them.
Well, you don't want to get in trouble when you get back. I don't think Will wants to talk out
Are
of
you
school.
saying Taylor and Figgy rule with an iron fist?
I think so. I mean, Figgy seems like I wouldn't want to get on Figgy's bad side.
Does she have a bad side?
I think she has a bad side.
All right. I didn't know. I didn't
Yeah.
know she did. I mean, like,
I mean, she told everybody, like, see, when you vote for Figgy, you go home.
did she say that?
She said that in the episode. I
Wow,
didn't make
missed
that up.
I missed that. Was that like right at the start?
right at the start.
Oh, but I thought she said that to Cameron, not to the group.
Well, I'm not sure if she said it to the group,
Okay.
but she said it either way.
Yeah, she did. She said it in her interview, which is different than saying it to the group. But so here's the thing. Like, I feel like obviously it's not smart to be in a showmance. Mm-hmm. Like, I wouldn't recommend it. But I feel like what Taylor and Figgy have done for themselves and what they've really done for Michelle, they've created a Paul-like figure for Michelle to hide behind. Because when they all got back, I don't know who it was. Was it Zeke or Adam that were like, hey, Taylor, Figgy, congratulations.
Yeah.
They didn't say anything to Michelle, which I thought, oh, perfect. Because she was really the one that orchestrated that, at least as the edit goes, and then was able to do like, I was just there. You know, like you should still look at Taylor and Figgy as the ones controlling this game.
Yeah.
So I think for Michelle, Taylor and Figgy is a great thing.
Do you have any experience with working with showmances? I'm trying to think. No showmances except for maybe Shane and Courtney had.
It was love hate, more hate than love.
Yeah.
No, there was never any showmances on our two seasons. How about you? Did you have any?
Well, we definitely that there was some showmancing going on where you had this guy Alex was sort of with this girl Shauna at one point, and there was like a little bit of jealousy between another guy who also wanted to be with Shauna, but it was sort of unrequited type thing. Yeah.
And did that play out in the actual edit?
A little bit,
Okay.
tiny bit. And then also there was this other girl, Heidi, who she had a thing for this guy, Dave, who we were trying to vote out. And then she was like, no, we're just friends. But it was like, well.
And did she end up voting out Dave?
I think she did vote against him ultimately.
Okay, she thought it was ambassadors. And when Jenna and Heidi did their thing on the thing, did that lead to any additional attention from the men? Or at that point were you guys so hungry and like just starved that the last thing on your mind was a nice?
I wouldn't really say that it added any additional attention.
It was already there.
Yeah, I guess it was already.
Okay, all right, okay.
I guess it was already there.
Because I noticed like my first season, 24 years old, yeah, kind of the height of my like horn dogginess as a young man, like
as a millennial.
as a millennial, I didn't find myself like having any interest in that at all.
You were not amorous when you were.
No, I was just so hungry.
You were not
amorous.
amorous.
I know. Amadas.
Amadas.
No, I just found myself so hungry and tired that like it never crossed my mind. You know, I would go to bed thinking of like chocolate covered brownie waffles.
I've heard that from people.
Yeah. I was surprised. I was like, this is the longest I've ever gone.
This is
not thinking about that.
This is something that I've heard other people say.
Yeah. So I I know that on our season after when people got voted out, there was some connections that I won't speak on, but there were some connections.
Yes.
Or a connection, but not during.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. So if you were in that type of situation, would you nip it in the bud, or would you be like a Michelle and say, okay, I can work with this because that they're going to come for them before they come for me?
I mean, I feel like you kind of got to nip it in the bud, all right? Right? Like, how do you like? What's your end game? What's Figgy and Taylor's end game? They're gonna both make it to the end.
Well, I just know from my own experience. I touched on this a little bit last week with PG being on the tribe with Rob and Amber. You know, I knew that I felt like, well, boy, Rob is really the person who I think is calling the shots around here, and I think that's too big of a move to go after Amber. Sure, would I love to see them get split up in the game? Absolutely.
When did they make their love clear?
Like, I mean, on night one, I mean, he had his arm around her and stuff like that.
Okay, so it worked from the start for them.
But it was sort of, we were all like together in the sequester for like, in a small, I don't know how they did it with the returning player season, but there was less of a lockdown.
So you guys could talk.
Right.
Oh, so we couldn't.
Yeah.
Like when we were sequestered, we couldn't talk at all. But so go back to what you were saying. So you were saying that like you would have taken out Amber, but you were afraid to upset
if that was an option available to me, sure.
Right.
That would have been fine. But that never, like, I don't even know if if anybody even had that conversation, because it's like, boy, you're really going to piss off Rob if you do that. And he's the person that, like, it seemed like he's the closest with Tom, and he had Amber there.
Right.
So to me, I'm just like, okay, well, this is still pretty good because this is going to make them such a target that eventually they're going to
someone's going to knock them off, and no one ever did.
Yeah, nobody's going to be coming for me because I mean, why are you going to come after me when you got these showmans going on here? This is so such a blinking target. I was probably.
And why do you think you were wrong?
Because I got voted out.
No, I know that.
Yes.
No. I know you were wrong, but like, what did you not take into account?
Do I think do I think I would have done anything differently?
Yeah,
I think I probably would have been more, if anything, I think I would have been more, if I could go back and like quantum leap into that same situation. And again, 6-person tribe versus a 10-person tribe, I would have been more, kissing their asses and sucking kneecaps and be like, boy, you guys, you are the best. You guys are like I don't even care. Like I would be happy to come in third. That's like my thing, third place.
Right. I
love third place. It's fine. I just want to, be here. And I'll tell you what, you know who I really don't like? Sue Hawk. That Sue Hawk is really on my,
Now let me ask you this, Rob, because maybe this is time for you and I to have a confessional, because we've both been through defeat on Survivor. Mm-hmm. Do you still sometimes think of hypothetical situations that you would have like been able to change it? Because I do. I do sometimes. And it doesn't keep me up at night, but sometimes I find myself thinking about it.
I really don't. And I think that part of the reason why I think that the podcast has been so therapeutic is that I used to.
Right.
I used to, and even like probably into maybe in the early days of the podcast, maybe like in the first year or two, I might have still thought about that, like a lot when I first when the season still happened,
right?
To the point where I would have dreams and I would wake up and I was back in the game, like in the first couple of weeks, and I definitely like within the first like year or two. But then not so much for a while. But then when I started doing the podcast again and talking about Survivor, it kind of resurfaced. But I really can say that I don't have desire to go play.
Well, I don't have desires either. Yeah. I don't. They're not bad thoughts. They're not like, ooh, I wish.
Right.
But more like, I could have done that. Like as I was driving up here, I was thinking to myself, like, oh, when I saw that really interesting looking tree my second season. Mm-hmm. What if I would have just like taken a moment and thought maybe there's a hidden immunity idol hidden under there? Like I think to myself some things like that sometimes, like, oh wow, I could have done that.
The thing that makes it a little bit easier in my particular instance is that nobody has ever said to me exactly what was going to be the answer key to the situation that I happened to be in. Right. The only thing that I could have potentially done differently was to
kiss Rob's ass.
Kiss Rob's ass, but I don't think that would have really changed anything. The only thing I could have potentially done differently is I sat out the challenge that ultimately where I got voted out, and maybe I might have gone, because that tribe didn't go to tribal council again for a very long time after. So I probably would have had another 50 days. But like we're gonna rewrite the whole history of Survivor.
It was so early on.
The fan fiction of Survivor All Stars, where all of a sudden I'm masterminding.
Right. I get you. I hear what you're saying.
So what am I gonna change? What am I gonna change?
There's so much that like potentially unknown in that situation.
And to change the first season, and that's the one. You could say like, okay, well, all I'd have to do is just not just win the last challenge, or say, oh, vote out Heidi instead of Jenna. But still, it's like I don't have any like a sort of like
bad taste.
Yeah, it's not like I'm saying like, oh boy, I wish my life was totally different.
Because
I mean,
had you won it, as someone who's won before, I can also say like I do think that a lot of survivors play the game and they think like my life's gonna be so different if I win. Mm-hmm. And it's not. You just have a little bit more money, a lot bit more money.
Yeah,
but
for a little while.
And then and then life, and then there's life. There's the rest of your life to live. But like, had you won, you probably wouldn't have done this.
No.
And what a gift this has been.
This is very, very nice.
It is. It's awesome. It's really cool.
I can't complain.
I mean, like, I was like I said, I told you this while we were eating lunch. Like, I went on your website yesterday, and like, you just like, there's so many different cool things that you're doing.
Oh, come on.
There is.
What do you like? Me in the alternate history of Survivor All Stars right now?
Yeah, you are my Robin Amber.
Right.
You should vote off Sue Hawk.
We should vote off Sue Hawk. Yeah, and then you get into like, well, then would my kids be alive if?
The whole thing. I mean, like, my
too much to change.
Season. getting sent to Exile Island, like I remember being there and be like, man, the only person I want to see right now is my girlfriend, who is now my wife and the mother of my son.
Right. So it's fine. You can't change this stuff around.
Back to Survivor.
Yeah. So who else are you a fan of this season?
Michelle's my fave.
Why?
Well, like full disclosure, I called you about a week ago and I was like, Mari's my favorite. She's the one, and she got voted out. So I obviously hadn't seen enough of her, and I'd like to see her play again. Moot point. Michelle, I like the way that she was able to orchestrate the vote last episode. I also like that she didn't take any credit for it or take any blame for it, and she's operating under the radar. She's strong. I also feel like if I could choose one sex to be in Survivor, it would be a woman. And an athletic woman, because once you get to the merge, you're not as big of a target as, and there's no like good rational reason for it, but for whatever reason, when people are out there, they always want to take the big men out first. And so I think that she gets to the merge, she's going to be able to.
Spoken as a merge boot.
What's that? Me?
Yeah.
As a merge boot, I know what it feels like. To be a big man and get voted out.
Yes.
I think she has a lot of game left in her. I like the way she plays. I think she's paying attention. I think she really understands. I don't know if it was a interview during the season or if it was like before the game interview, but she spoke about trust, and she really understood that the most valuable commodity in the game is trust. And I was like, ooh, I like Michelle. I think she understands the game and can do really well.
I touched on this briefly last night, is that I think that Will has ended up in a good position. I thought that was a good flip for him to make after last week. And I was sort of like so for it last week, but I feel like he's in a good spot now, that he seems like he's like the fifth wheel with the Alliance of Four.
Yeah, no, Will's in a great position. What's up with Will's voice?
It's a deep voice.
Yeah, he's just like, I feel like he needs to be like an announcer.
Yeah.
Or like a sports announcer, particularly.
That'd be great.
Yeah. I couldn't stop listening.
Right.
If I had TiVo or DVR, I would have played it back.
You would go back. You loved it.
But we just use antenna.
Yeah. He should narrate audiobooks.
He's great. He's great. And really, can we get him on the show?
I hope so.
Okay. Maybe he should be like introducing you.
That would be good.
All you need him is do a clip coming to you live from his apartment. It's Rob.
Yeah, we just like patch in like a line.
That'd be great.
That would be nice.
No, but I think Will's in a good position. It's interesting that David sought Will out in the summit to be like, I'll vote my people out for you.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's going to be helpful for him.
Yeah.
I think that might be a little bit of like a false flag or a bit of a distraction, because I think like it might be that like, if David makes it, into the merge and Will and David are playing, and that Will will be like, oh yeah, I have David in my back pocket.
Yeah.
But that's very confusing, and he probably doesn't.
Talk about Michaela a little bit, because she was somebody who really broke out last week, and she seems though very content to stick with this Alliance of Four, even though she hates Figgy.
Which makes me ask you, before I talk too much about Michaela, in your podcast last night, you were talking to Steven saying she seems like she would vote more along emotional lines. But she's only shown that she's just voting purely based on reason.
Yeah, but as Steven pointed out last night, he felt like that maybe it was more based on the emotion of fear. Where, hey, vote with these people or you will be next.
Because she's in the best position in the game, right? You have these two voting blocks in your Power Four.
I don't know if I'd go that far.
She's in one of the best positions. She's in an Alliance of Five. There's this Power Alliance.
Yeah.
Right? And she will be the third wheel, so to speak. So when it's down to the final five, is the Power Alliance going to stay together? Are the two couples going to stay together and vote her out, or are one of them going to try to recruit her and knock out another couple?
I don't know.
Assuming they made it there as a block.
You're talking like Gen X Jessica right now. I mean, that you're assuming like the final five of the game, or even that we're going to get down to five people in that tribe.
Well, no, are
going to be made up of.
Right. Well, I mean, I think that's what you have to assume, right? You have to assume that if you're an alliance, that your alliance is going to make it to the end. Obviously, you're going to do whatever it takes to get there. But you want to know in your end game, is my alliance, where do I sit within that alliance? And if you're the fifth wheel, so to speak, but it's two couples, you're actually in a really good position.
But in some ways, do you see this millennial tribe as being a bit like the Kasaya Six, where you have them people like going after each other, but still like, okay, when push comes to shove,
Right.
we're all still going to vote together, but we may still get into a huge fight tomorrow and, curse each other out.
Yeah, it could be that. I mean, I don't know. I don't think we've seen enough of them. So far, she's been a bit of a head scratcher because on the one hand, she's like, I hate Figgy, but she's voting with Figgy. Which means for me, I kind of like what Michaela's doing. She's like, I'm just going to sit back and she actually said something that I thought was really impressive. So in my opinion, like the least powerful way to vote is emotion. The second, so that's the least. The middle choice is intellect, and the third choice is intuition. I think intuition trumps intellect and emotion.
Wow.
I think if I were to make my epistemology of like powerful ways of making decisions, certainly intuition would be the most powerful. And she said in her interview, she's like, I'm just going to sit back and wait. And that's, I'll kind of essentially let intuition guide is kind of what I took from that little soundbite she gave. Is
there a decision that you made in your Survivor career that was based on intuition?
I would say my first season, interviews before we even been cast, I saw Suri at like CBS and she smiled and I was like, there's something about her that I really like. And then I picked Suri when it came to the tribe swap to be on our tribe. So that was intuition.
But is that something about you, or is that something about Suri, where every person that sees her, maybe save for Tom Westman, looks at her and says, I like her.
Right. Maybe, but I was the person that picked her.
Yes.
Right. I mean,
you got to her first.
Right. Like Shane could have picked her before I picked her. Shane picked Courtney.
Okay.
So, take that for what it's worth.
Yes. That was his intuition.
Right. Exactly. No, I'm not saying that was, but like, I know from my, it you can chalk it up and describe
You're a
it
good judge
ways.
of character.
No, I'm not. That's what I'm saying. I'm typically a terrible judge of character. But there was a moment with me and Suri where I was like, oh, there's something special about
You had
her.
a moment.
Right. There was a moment for me. I'm trying to think if there's any other like real like intuitive moments. Well, like certainly when we decided to blindside Shane, I was on Exile Island when that happened.
Yeah.
When not when it happened, but like when that idea came to fruition, but it came into my mind and it came into Suri's mind at the same time. Because when we got back together, we were like, oh, this is what we should do. And we both had the same idea. Yeah. So I was like, oh, well, we're obviously on the same page about this. Of course, let's do it. So, but I don't know. I feel like, my first time playing, I was really pretty set on like, let the game come to me. Don't force the game. The second time I played, I ditched what worked and I was like, no, game it hard. Make alliances with everybody. Break alliances with everybody. Play hard.
Not intuition.
Intellect, which middle of the pack.
Yeah.
And that's not to say that intuition is going to make you win, but I tend to think it's going to give you a better result every time.
As somebody who works in the clothing industry now, have you ever thought about relying on your Survivor Season 12 experience and opening up a shop called Textile Island?
Ooh.
Yes.
God. That was really good. I don't know if that's going to translate, but that was really good. I don't know. That was really, really good. Textile Island.
Yeah.
Rob,
hashtag.
I started a men's line. I'm actually, I made, I'm not joking.
Yes.
I made a men's line of clothing, but I made it just for me. So I made these shorts, but I only made them in my size.
I have a pair of sweatpants.
I gave you a pair of sweats.
Yes.
They're only in one size. They're my size.
And that's what you're going to call it now? Textile Island?
At first I called it Dawn, day or night, and as like a reference to the Christy Dawn thing. But now maybe I'm changing it to Textile Island.
Yeah. Textile Island.
You know what? I am not afraid to pull the plug on Dawn and call it Textile Island.
Steer it into the curve, right there.
Just steer it into the Textile Island harbor.
Yeah, we'll have a promo code.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there you go.
But no, they're not. I mean, obviously, my line's not for sale. It's my line.
Oh, it's just for you.
Well, did you notice that those pants I gave you are a little big for you?
So you mass manufacture clothes that are just for you?
Well, I made 20 pairs of those sweatpants.
Yes.
Because I was like, I want to have 20 pairs of sweats that I want. So I designed them for myself.
Yes.
And I was like, now I don't ever have to go shopping. And I made 50 t-shirts and I made like 15 pairs of shorts.
Did you design this t-shirt?
I did. It's a little big, but I lost weight.
Wow. All right.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I digress. Textile Island. That's where it's at.
Okay.
Hashtag Textile Island if you're listening.
Textile Island. All right. What about on the Gen Xers? Any other standouts there?
On the Gen Xers? I
Yeah.
mean, look, I like Zeke.
Zeke.
I really like Zeke.
Yeah.
I really like the way he handled Hannah.
Yes.
I know.
What's the plan for him to bounce back? Because he looks like he is certainly in a bad spot.
He's up Schitt's Creek.
Yes.
He's up Schitt's Creek. He needs a merge.
He needs a merge.
But I feel like if he gets a merge, he can
Day
play.
10.
I mean, look, he convinced Adam to be his secretary, so the guy's obviously got skills.
Yes.
You know what I'm referencing there, right?
From last night?
Yeah.
From the know-it-alls? Yeah.
He was.
Sorry, Mr. Smith will not see you right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Like he said.
Adam, can you talk to Hannah for me? Because she's
Yeah.
obviously not getting this.
Yes. Yes.
Which is interesting because that dynamic, I mean, the fact that like Adam chose to play the role of secretary, right? Like kind of like pushing his own emotions to the side, but standing up for Zeke was like his way of like dealing with his own letdown and disappointment. You know, I mean, what do you think of Adam? I think Adam's got a good shot in the game. I mean, again, terrible position, but like as a player, I'm like, oh, that guy looks like he can play a little bit.
I definitely feel like he really knows the game. I think that he is inoffensive to the other people in the game, but I just wonder if people are going to have that emotional connection where does he put the other players at ease when he's around them? And that's really my big takeaway from last season with Michelle winning, where that I think the people that like make you feel comfortable when you're around them. And that's one of the things about Tyson that I think coming out of from your season, that when you spend time with Tyson, he puts he puts everybody at ease. Everybody enjoys spending their time with him. With Adam, do people ever forget that he's playing Survivor? I feel like that you sort
and
of
that's kind of David's complex too. Similar.
David too, and believe me, it is not lost on the irony of. I'm sure that that's how people feel being out on the island with me as well.
Okay, so I know you're not going to play again, but if you did play again, do you feel like you could mask that?
I think I would try,
right.
But I do think that, and I think Steven has this too.
Yeah, Steven definitely has it.
Yeah, I think that people, like, no matter what they're doing, people are saying like, "Oh, he's playing the game. He's, you know,
right. Don't trust him. He's playing the game.
Don't trust. I can't trust him. I don't think I do a good job of putting. You know, I think like I maybe in a so in like a podcast setting, I could put somebody at ease for an hour or two.
But when the game and for those of you guys listening, like, I'm sure you've heard this a million times, but it is long and boring out there. And there's so much downtime, and it's like, what are you going to talk about? You're either going to talk about the game or the food you'd eat when you get home, and that's pretty much it. Like,
it's a hard thing to escape. Be able to.
It is.
So,
like, you can talk about how you'd be out there, but then you get out there and there's nothing to do, and your mind needs something to fixate on.
Yeah. And
especially like middle game.
And I referenced Spencer last night on the Know-It-Alls, and I definitely feel like that I talked about comparing Adam to the first iteration of Spencer, but when Spencer comes back the second time, you see that that's a thing he's consciously trying to work at, where he's saying, I'm going to talk, you know, he has the scene where he's talking to Jeremy about his girlfriend and about he's trying to engage with people about like their, like on an interpersonal level, and he has some success with that, but it's also still a struggle for him. And I do feel like that Adam is in that same sort of a spot. So if he's able to overcome that, I feel like that he has a lot of upside in the game.
Yeah, and it's the spot that he's in as well. It's just like not an ideal spot.
Not good
Not good at all. Him and Zeke have a lot of work.
But also, I do think that the way that he's trying to politic the vote that's coming up with Michaela of like laying out the case of the numbers and okay, they have 4 and they have 3. I think that what you probably want to do is just in a perfect world, and I know it's not as fun to talk about strategically.
It's just relate.
Yeah, just get that person to like you so much that they don't even want to think about the thought of what their game is going to be like. What are the next 29 days going to be like if Adam's not around?
Right. I cannot live without you. Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. No, that's a good point. I like that point. And also, I feel like he already knows Michaela doesn't like Ziggy, or does he know that?
Oh, I think that, I mean, it's pretty well known.
Right. So like he doesn't need to lay out a case yet.
And I think it's a pretty fairly obvious case that he's laying. Like, I don't think he's really bringing any new information
and then
to the table.
It is like that fine line is like, now you're annoying. Now you're just like,
and it's a little like borderline, insulting their intelligence, where she's like, okay, I can count. I know that they're 4, and I'm with them, and that potentially if I went with you guys, I would be. So yeah, you have to be careful. And I think
true.
You probably are better off winning a person over with the social game as opposed to winning them over with the strategic game.
Right. I totally agree with that. I think you win through relationships, and then you use strategy as a way to like move your relationship.
And it's hard because, we talk about on these podcasts and in all sorts of different places that cover Survivor or the internet, like the strategy. But I don't think that is as important of a tool in your Survivor belt out there for 39 days.
I totally agree with you. I mean, like, it's important to have a strategy, but you can't execute a strategy without relationships.
Yes.
You need to be able to get the people to move your way and to take on your strategy. If you don't have relationships, it doesn't matter.
Yes.
And the other thing that people fail like to really take into account for is like, you have your own emotional baggage come up when you're out there. You have your own triggers. You have your own like, oh, this reminds me of this, but I don't realize it reminds me of this, and I'm going to respond in a way that's like completely inappropriate. And I didn't know I was going to respond like that, and I can't control it. And then your game is blown up.
Okay.
So
I want to get into some of these questions that I have for you.
All right, let's do
from the listeners. And let's see. This is why don't we talked about some of the stuff with Jeff. People were really worked up about the Jeff stuff.
Jesus. Where do most people sit with the Jeff thing?
I think that most people feel like it was a stretch.
Eye roll.
Yeah, a little bit.
Did you roll your eyes harder or less hard when he had the teenager with braces interviewed about what she thought about Joe Englem in his first season?
Reunion show is a whole different category.
But this kind of had a reunion show vibe to it, didn't it?
Of like
cheesy, unnecessary.
Yeah, all right, let's get a quick show of hands. All right, people in the audience.
Right,
so,
it just felt so weird.
That's a whole different thing. I mean, it's a 3-hour show, and the reunion shows like that could be like its whole different podcast of like different things that went off the rails at the reunion.
But I feel like that's one thing you can always count on Survivor for, is like a really terrible reunion show.
Yes.
Has there ever been a good reunion show?
Yeah, that's one of the things where I think if you were going to say, have there ever been a good one? I think that maybe the All-Stars reunion is pretty good. Like, there's a couple.
Which All-Stars? The first one?
The first one,
okay.
yeah. I think that, that's sort of like, there's a lot of crazy stuff that happens there.
Right.
I mean, Rob proposes to Amber.
Right.
Jerry walks off the set. Lex and Rob don't want to shake hands. I mean, there's a lot
going on. But they used to stick to like a bit of a script of like, okay, everyone's going to get a little bit of a question.
Yeah.
And we're going to focus on the cast.
But for a long time that they don't do that. But in my mind, as a Survivor fan, like, I have very real expectations of what the reunion is, and I feel like even the quote unquote bad reunions, that's one of the things from going back and watching even the bad reunions are good because they're memorable. The worst reunions are the ones where you can't remember anything that happened. Like the reunion,
like my first reunion, it was nothing interesting that happened.
I'm trying to think of anything
nothing.
From that.
Run of the mill.
You wore like sort of like a Baja sweatshirt.
Yeah.
Shane was dressed like Harry Potter.
Yeah.
And I don't really remember a lot.
I think I got thrown one question, then we went right to Terry.
There's a lot of Suri, like, hey, this woman, she was afraid of leaves.
Right,
but
she was
now
afraid
she's
of the
here.
couch. The big story was like, from the couch to the jungle. Or,
yes.
Yeah, off the couch onto the jungle or onto the island.
They talked to HB.
That's right. HB was a big star. That might have been one of the like first kind of pull into the audience interviews.
Yeah. So, but
relatively uninteresting.
Yeah,
but I prefer uninteresting over bad. I'm sorry, I just do. I'd rather every contestant get a question and like hear like.
I'll take bad any day over uninteresting.
Like I want to get a question at least into Paul.
Yes.
For this reunion show. I
maybe
see, like,
we
what's
will.
Paul doing?
Maybe we will. So you never know how it's going to go. You don't know how pressed they are for time. Yeah. Though we'll see. I have a feeling that this December, maybe the reunion show could be, actually, I don't know. Like
I wouldn't have been surprised last night based on like the stretch that Jeff did there. It's like, if he was like, all right, let's show of hands. How many of you guys text the full word you? And then like, all right, let's cut to Cochran. Cochran, how about you?
Cochran, what do you do? Oh,
all right, back to the game.
All right. That'd be good. All right, Edward Morris wants to know, what should the millennials have offered up to get the fishing gear? Would the Gen X tribe have accepted anything? What do you think of this sort of you're into barter and like trade?
Yeah, but like, it's okay. So there's nothing they could have really traded. Right? Like they couldn't trade the comfort for I guess they could have traded with the Gen Xers to say, we'll give you comfort if you give us your fishing. But Jeff wasn't going to be like, you can trade the comfort for a whole new set of fishing gear. Mm-hmm. Like that wasn't going to happen, right?
Yeah.
I thought that the Gen Xers did the right thing.
Yes.
No, take your take your stuff and let's move on.
Yeah, get out of here,
Yeah,
you.
exactly.
Come on.
I thought it was cool that they tried to barter, but I mean, they had no leverage.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what was the value?
I can't imagine the scenario where they're like, you know what? Okay, sure. You're nice kids. You had a nice summit.
I didn't understand why Jeff was like, well, if you're going to trade for fishing gear, you don't really have that much comfort to trade for.
Mm-hmm.
Did you notice that?
Well, yeah, it's interesting because I felt like in Survivor that the rewards get progressively better. Right.
That's exactly what
so
I'm alluding
I feel like
to.
the episode 3 reward should be more valuable than the episode 2 reward.
Exactly.
No?
Yeah, that's what I thought too. That's why I was like, it's kind of weird that Jeff's saying that he gave a lesser gift on the second reward.
Boy, I need somebody to really do the math of, so comfort items is what, 0.8 fishing gear?
Yeah, like what was he going to give? Like half
What's
of a
the
fishing
conversion?
line? Yeah, how like a hook with no like hole in it? Like what were we going to give him?
Did you do the spear fishing on Survivor?
I did.
How'd you do with it?
Okay.
So.
But it's hard to get much of a bigger fish than about this big.
Yes. Okay.
But Kent referred to catching yellowtail.
Yes.
Did he catch yellowtail and we just didn't see it?
Maybe.
He must have, right?
Caught an octopus.
Yeah, I know he caught an octopus. That was really cool. But did he catch a yellowtail?
That I don't know. That we have to see if that is just a tall tail.
Okay, because they did talk about it. They talked about Paul claiming they were yellowtail and not being able to catch it.
Yes.
So maybe.
Okay. Keith Dixon says, we saw a glimpse of a marked seashell with an immunity idol on the Millennials Beach when Adam went to go get the tree mail. What do you think the editors are trying to tell us? That the idol on Millennial Beach won't be found and here was where it was located? Or are we trying to reassure us that the idol is indeed out there to be found later? What do you think? Now, I didn't catch that. Did you catch that?
I definitely caught that right before we went and got tree mail. I think it was more like keep viewers on their seats. Like, is this when he finds it?
Check off seashell.
Well, yeah, well, more just like, all right, like, it kind of like when I saw it, I know you weren't paying attention, but I was paying attention, and I was like, oh, I need to focus.
Yeah.
Like, is this a moment when he finds something?
My Mets were playing a playoff game at the time that I was watching and podcasting about Survivor.
Yeah,
Can anybody cut me some slack?
At what point was that home run hit during the episode of Survivor? Was it during the episode?
No, it was about 2 hours after, or was it at least an hour and a half after Know It Alls?
Okay.
So,
all right.
yes.
Because you watched the East Coast feed.
I watched the East Coast feed, so
right,
I was well past my podcasting.
No, I definitely noticed the shell, but I thought it was done as a way to like awaken viewers. Like, hey, is this the moment? Nope, next time. You know. But no, I don't think it was like used it as a device to suggest it will never be found. I just thought more like it was like a little bit of an exciting moment in the edit.
Joe Braga wants to know, how big of an advantage, if at all, do you think it was for everyone who went to the summit to be mingled opposed to everyone who was forced to stay at camp? So the summit in general, in terms of how they selected people to do it, did you like that it was random, or would you have preferred to see the survivors decide that on their own?
Well, I definitely didn't like the randomness of it because it's too early in the game for like a random draw. It didn't seem to have any value. I think if you have them choose, then you get to see like what are their systems, like how did they choose, or as Richard Hatch said, let's talk about how we're going to talk about it. So you can see like, all right, what's their system, or you would have seen a hierarchy, right? So it would have revealed something at least. But I feel like my answer to the initial question is like the game's afoot. We'll see.
Yes, like Tarzan.
Yeah, like Tarzan. We'll see what comes of this, if anything. But I mean, I hope something comes of it, because if not, this will go down as like one of the like worst anecdotal experiences to ever occur on Survivor.
It happened.
It happened.
Yes.
It happened. And so to answer, like you brought up the point last night, like why did they get food? I think they got food because of the like breaking bread concept. Like they actually chose bread, right? It was like
it was on the nose.
Yeah, it was like, all right, here we're breaking bread. We're getting to talk about things. I think they used that as just like a device to tell the story of like a summit, even though like the value of that summit was probably not very good.
Are you crunchy peanut butter or creamy peanut butter?
Crunchy.
Crunchy.
Like Kent, I like my texture.
Okay.
Yes,
okay.
yes,
Texture.
yes.
I go creamy.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, you're smooth.
Well, not what I've heard.
Okay.
Jorge Alvarado wants to know, what do you think the legacy advantage will be? Now, you played in Survivor 12, Textile Island. And we saw Terry got a advantage on day 30. 38, 37, 38.
Day 37, he got the advantage.
He got to sleep on a cot.
And he got
a healthy,
chicken
healthy
plate.
meal.
Yeah.
And it did him no good.
It did him no good.
So what do you think is the legacy advantage? Is going to be a meal? Is it going to be?
It's hard to think of it as a meal. Like it's
a
called
second life.
It's called a legacy advantage, right?
Yeah, but I think
so. Here's what I think it is.
Okay.
Here's what I think it is. This is my guess.
Guess.
Total fucking guess. Sorry for the F-bomb.
Okay.
Sorry. Legacy advantage. Day 36. You find out that if you are in the final 3, that you get to choose someone who you were on your tribe with initially who's not in the game to be a part of the jury.
Boy.
I know it's a stretch. I know there's
a major stretch.
I know there's a lot of things that would have to go into that.
So there's going to be somebody that's on the pre-jury trip. They're going to be standing by on the satellite phone.
Right, be like, send them back.
Like, hey, it's day 36.
Yeah, send Paul back from Thailand. Get him over here.
Get Rachel. She's coming back in.
Yep.
She's coming back in.
Yeah.
And then somebody that we haven't seen on the show for 13 weeks is going to come back and decide the game.
Well, okay, I guess I just think of that because it's called the legacy advantage.
But I think legacy speaks to you get voted out and then somebody else gets it. I think it speaks to there is a legacy of lots of people may have had the advantage. Maybe, if Jessica gets voted out next week, she has to give it to somebody else who's going to give it to somebody else.
Maybe that's why. I mean, I feel like there has to be something to do with relating to past something or others. And if you get it on 36, it's a legacy because of something that happened previous, right?
Yeah. Boy.
Or the other choice is
yes.
The other choice is legacy advantage. I mean, there's tons of choices, but like perhaps it's like, okay, Jessica, you get to choose what the challenge will be based on what other challenge you've already done. Like whichever one you excelled at most, you get to choose it. I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah.
You and my guess is as good as yours. I hope that she gets to choose like the
I think my guess
number.
is better than yours.
Oh, Textile Island.
You have to send somebody to Textile Island.
Someone has to go to Textile Island, create their own line that they're only going to mass produce for themselves.
Yes. Yes. And then it's like a Project Runway final tribal council.
Do you ever wear those pants?
I have worn them.
Once.
Yeah. But you gave them to me in June?
Correct.
And
it's been hot.
It's like 120 degrees every day at my house.
French terrace.
So they will get used.
They're more like cozies. They're designed to be like cozy, hang out.
Yes.
Kind of perfect for you. You could just keep this camera above the waist. You could wear those for everything you do.
Yeah.
And nothing better than giving a friend a pair of pants and having him tell me he's never worn them, by the way.
You gave
them to me 6 months
ago.
You
gave me sweatpants in June.
Agreed.
Yes. It's very hot.
Note to self, don't give Rob anything ever again. Take back the Legos you got for Dawn.
Oh, come on. All right. These are some other questions for you. Adam Ryder wants to know, how important is personal space on the island? And was Hannah's mistake with Zeke one that will cost him trusting her?
I mean, I think Hannah, if Zeke's got half a brain, he sees that like Hannah's got a somewhat neurotic personality, and I'm sure he'll forgive her for not giving space. I think what Zeke has to do is he has to make sure the next day that he pulls Hannah in and he's like, hey, listen, I was just upset. Of course I want to work with you.
Yeah,
and move from there. I think that's a totally bridgeable gap that was there, and I think they'll work together.
Okay, Humberto has a question that when we had the winner of Survivor Co. Wrong on the podcast 2 weeks ago, Michelle Fitzgerald, she said that one of the things she did was that if people were pissed off at her, she would let them have time to be pissed off at her, and then she would just let them go and let everybody vent about her. And then come back, which is kind of counterintuitive. I think that a lot of times people will be like, okay, well, I know everybody's mad at me, so let me stay around so they're not talking about me.
Let me heal this right away.
Or let me at least stand around so I don't give people the opportunity to all bitch about me all in one place. Michelle said she would let people have time to go and complain about her.
Which is great strategy, but like maybe I'm just totally naive or totally dense and unaware, but like people shouldn't be mad at you out there. They
like if you blow it in a challenge or something like that.
Okay, but like, yeah, I don't feel like if you're playing a good game, there shouldn't be a time where people are really pissed off at you. Unless if you blow out a challenge, hey, it's an accident, give them space. But like, you shouldn't be playing a game where people are really pissed off at you. I don't think there's much you can do out there if you're playing a solid, steady game where people are gonna be like, how dare he or she?
Yeah.
Right.
So you say what? Just let people be mad at you?
But like, why? Like, was someone ever really mad at you? I mean, I guess if you
yeah.
were they? Was it like you blindsided
Yeah,
somebody?
yeah.
But did you need them to come back around?
Eventually.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's a good thing. Michelle's strategy is good. Like, hey, someone gets pissed off, give them space, and then it eventually rebuild the relationship. But you're never going to convince anybody to not be mad in a moment. You got to give them space, which I think is what Zeke was kind of asking Hannah to do that she couldn't do. You know, but I thought that was just hilarious that she was unable to give him space.
A very funny scene. Robbie Freeman wants to say, as Doc Brown would say, I think that the Gen X tribe is having trouble thinking fourth dimensionally. Do you like Back to the Future?
I did like Back to the Future, although I did not
now
get
you
that
don't
reference.
Okay, now you don't like it?
Why is that?
You said I did like Back to the Future.
Well, it was a good movie.
Yeah.
It's not like something that I rewatched. It's not like on my top 10.
Yeah. Not top 10, top 20?
Yeah, it might get. I mean, certainly top 25.
Top 25. Okay.
I don't know if it breaks top 20 though.
So
Like,
in a
those
few
last
days,
5 spots are
this
open.
tribe is going to likely be swapped to that beach. Do you think that they made a semi-selfish decision to come off as benevolent? Do you think that this is the right way, or is it too long-term, I guess, in terms of the fishing gear, sending the fishing gear?
Yeah, there's going to be some people when the tribes get swapped, they're going to be like, damn, I wish we let them have fishing gear because now it's our fishing gear. But I mean, like, there's no, you can't like, you can't take into consideration every single possible variation the game is going to give you, right? You can't be like, all right, well, eventually I'm going to be there, so I want them to have it. I think they made the right choice at the time. Right now, you have to consider it your tribe versus their tribe. You have to. Even though you know eventually it's going to change, you have to have that mindset right now. And because that's what's going to build trust and that's going to build cohesion. Once you switch tribes, then you can now build new trust. But like the best way to build trust is to actually embody the things that are trustworthy, which are teamwork and working, as a unit against a common enemy. So if you're like, oh no, let them have it because I might be there. Well, right away, that's like energetically inviting distrust.
So it's a lousy argument to make.
Exactly.
Derek has a question for you. Is this the most lopsided in terms of entertainment with the two tribes since Kasaya and Rob's favorite tribe ever, Lamina? All right, is this...
Ooh, but who would be Kasaya?
The millennials.
Really?
I think that Derek is saying that the millennials are very interesting. Lots of fights, fireworks, big characters, big personalities.
Right.
Gen X, little more. Nobody will ever be as bad as Lamina.
Lamina was the most boring.
It is
American
the most
Eagle
boring
tribe in the history of the
Survivor tribe that's ever been assembled. And then when Terry goes to Textile Island, forget about it. Forget about it.
No one's allowed to talk anyways.
You're watching paint dry.
Yeah, agreed. No, this tribe. The Gen Xers are more interesting than Lamina for certain. And I think maybe they're not that much more interesting.
Oh,
maybe you're right. Maybe this guy's right. Maybe you have David.
You have David. You have Ken.
You have Ken, but Ken's not even interesting. Ken's just like beautiful.
Is that it? Oh, come on. You are poo-pooing his intellect.
No, I'm not.
You're judging the book by its cover, Aras.
Allow me to explain that. I'm sure Ken is interesting as a human. I mean, he
likes vinyl.
As a character on television, I would agree.
He writes poetry.
I would agree that I was also not interesting as a character. Would you agree with that?
No.
I didn't have a lot, maybe with Vetus.
Disagree.
But as a standing on my own, there was not much for me as a character. Kent is the same way.
You told Terry to call the ambulance.
That's right, I did.
Yes.
I was pissed.
Yes.
I threw out my back playing Risk. What a shame. What a shame.
Yeah. No. Nobody will be as bad as Lamina. Take it back, Derek. Don't call the Gen Xers Lamina.
Don't take that away from my season. We get to hold on to something.
Yes. Kasaya is very, very exciting.
Lamina had an astronaut.
Yeah. Did you know that? Did you know Dan was an astronaut?
I didn't at the time, but Austin told me they'd like lay down and look at the stars, and then Dan would be like explaining to them, like, "Oh yeah, we were there." Which is really interesting to me, but it doesn't translate onto television.
Okay.
Come on, if you had nothing to do on a deserted island and there was an astronaut and the stars were all out in their glory, which we never see the stars living in LA, by the way, for those of you who don't know, have never spent time here. When's the last time you saw a star that wasn't...
I'm looking at one right now.
Ooh. Double that up. That would be pretty cool to have an astronaut explain to you the way. Okay, whatever. I take my son to the Natural History Museum all the time. What can I say? I'm a nerd.
Right.
I listen to vinyl.
Yeah.
I used to, when I was 21, there was this a nightclub in Hollywood called Vinyl, and it was like the hot
Whoa.
spot to go to.
Wow.
And we used to try to sneak in. All the celebs went.
When I was 37, there used to be this show on TV that was called Vinyl also.
Ooh, strong.
Yes.
Strong.
Yes.
Throwing it way back.
Was that it's not they don't have it anymore.
Well, it's a different generation.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. This is a question. This is from Travis, who says, instead of dividing the tribes by sex and by age in Panama, should they have just done Gen X versus baby boomers? It could have been the only 3-titled season Survivor Panama / Exile Island / Gen X versus baby boomers. And if they did this, how do you think that the boomers would approach the balance beam?
Ooh, I think obviously missed opportunity.
Yes.
I think everyone in production.
Were they technically baby boomers?
Yeah, they were. Some of them. Like,
I mean, Shane's not.
Shane wasn't, but Bruce was.
Cerie's not a baby boomer.
No, but Bruce was.
Yes.
And I'm trying to think if there was anyone else. Melinda wasn't. Oh, Melinda. Moving on.
Why do you say that? She's crazy?
No, she's not crazy. I like, you know, everyone goes on Survivor for different reasons and has their own expectations and their own hopes. And
She had a band.
And I just feel like Melinda's time on Survivor did not meet her expectations.
Yeah, she thought it was gonna like the band was gonna get hot.
I don't know. I don't even know. I don't even mean like afterwards. I just mean like during. I just felt bad. Like she was really disappointed to go home.
Yes. Okay, this is a question from Edmo. Wants to know, who on this season do you think has the crappiest apartment?
Ooh.
He didn't say crappiest.
Ooh, that's a great question. What do you think, Bob?
Who's Shane coming to? Well, it's probably a millennial.
Obviously.
I got to think so.
I don't know. Actually, I disagree.
Oh, you think that
It could be Paul.
it could be?
I think it could be Paul.
No, he probably lives like a houseboat or something like that.
Maybe. That'd be great if he did.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, if you're like a rock and roller at 40 something, is he in his 50s or 40s?
50s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't know. I mean,
You
it could go both ways there.
You don't know. Probably, I mean, Will probably lives with his parents.
Yeah, so
even if his parents have a nice house, like I have to take away points for.
Hannah's probably neurotically clean. Zeke might be a little on the.
Yeah, Zeke did say that there was something in the first episode. He's like, "This is like my apartment."
Oh, really?
Yeah, he says it's like a mess.
Oh well, then I think
it's after the cyclone struck.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. So Zeke.
Like
so let's go Zeke. I want to call Figgy Ziggy sometimes. By the way.
Why?
I don't know, because there's
Like Ziggy Marley.
More like Ziggy the super fan.
Ziggy. Oh yeah.
I relate more to Ziggy the super fan than Ziggy Marley. No, I don't know. I just feel there's a Zeke and there's.
How would Ziggy Marley be at Mafia?
Too honest. Way too honest.
Ziggy Marley, are you in the Mafia right now?
Yeah, man.
I can't say. All right.
I can't answer that question.
No comment. Yeah. All right. Let's see. This is from, let's see. David Baltazar, do you think that your Gen X older self would react to these millennials the same way Terry reacted and perceived you as the young Gen Xer in Panama?
I would be annoyed by me. I would be annoyed if I had to play me at 24.
Terry is still. I mean, you're not as old as Terry.
I'm not as old as Terry, and I'd already be annoyed by me at 24. So yes.
No, but do you mean that, or you just say that?
I
feel like you just say.
Well, I think my self-loathing is stronger than most. Yeah, I hate everything that's come before me that was me. So yes.
Do you think that in the future you will hate the version of yourself that's right now?
I hope so.
You hope so?
I hope so. Well, I guess in a way, I know this is totally effed up and like the self-loathing and self-hate, but I assume it means like, oh, I've grown, I've evolved. I see the short-sightedness of my past.
There's an evolution in the game.
There's an evolution in the game of being odd us.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So in a sense, yes, I hope I hate me now.
Okay. This is
the only person who hates me now is me in the future.
Yes. That was your yearbook quote.
There's some pretty good yearbook quotes circulating the internet these days.
Yes, are they really?
Yeah,
it's like a BuzzFeed top like 37 best yearbook quotes.
There's some really good ones.
What's
out
a good
there.
one?
Well, I don't actually remember them, but they did make me laugh. A lot of them are inappropriate for this. Obviously, this is a family show.
Mm-hmm.
But Yeah, there's some really good ones out there.
Right.
I think one person used like the table of elements to say something about being a pimp or something to that effect.
Yeah.
Just really, really smart things.
Yeah, they should do a Survivor yearbook and then have everybody's like quote.
Well, maybe you should do a Survivor yearbook.
Yeah, we'll put it out.
That'd be good.
All right. Matt Rubio wants to know, who is the oddest member of each tribe?
Could you repeat that in the form of a question, please? Wait, who is the oddest? EST or the oddest?
Oddest.
I'm gonna take it as if he said oddest.
Yes. Okay.
Okay. So obviously Hannah
Yes.
for the millennials.
Yes.
And I'm gonna go with Jessica and her eyes.
Yeah. The best was back in Survivor Cagayan.
Yeah.
That was a legendary podcast in my mind that you were the guest on the podcast. It was coming off of Blood versus Water.
Right.
And you came to my house and we did a podcast about the premiere of Cagayan, which was 2 hours.
Right. It was a long one.
It was a long one. We talked about that was like I think the first appearance of Tony with "This is huge. We needed it," and then also that tribal council ends with Jeff saying like, "This is the oddest tribe that I've ever." And it was great. It was great. That's one of my favorite podcasts.
It's when Jeff was listening to my tunes. You know, he couldn't help himself.
Yeah, he couldn't help it. You were refreshing his mind.
A short-lived music career.
Coming up. Oh, so you don't play music anymore?
I do. I play Wheels on the Bus almost every day.
Yes.
I just learned how to play Old MacDonald House of Farm.
Yes.
But it's obviously an audience of one.
Yes.
But he loves it. No, I don't. There's honestly, my wife and I's business is going really well,
Mm-hmm.
and with River and my own kind of time for myself, I don't have the energy or the interest in playing shows right now. But I still love music.
Yes. So what do you? So do you like jam with like a band?
No, when I'm playing guitar now, I'm literally just jamming for my son. But I'm putting it all on vinyl, so don't worry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, put it all on vinyl. That's good. That's good. This is from Catherine Weiss. At this point, with several people turning on solid alliances already, who do you think has the best shot at winning? Do you have a winner pick?
Michelle.
Michelle's
my fave.
You think we have back-to-back Michelle winners.
That would be amazing. That would be historic.
Hasn't happened
Which
before.
contestant looks most like Hillary Clinton? Rob.
Boy, I guess I'd have to say off the top of my head, Sunday?
No. Look again.
Like all time?
No, this season. Don't you think like Jessica looks like a young Hillary Rodham Clinton?
Jessica looks like a young Hillary Clinton.
Like,
Boy.
pull up some pictures of Hillary, and you will see there's certainly at least a resemblance.
Okay, we'll take a look. Why? And then who's Trump?
Who's? I don't know if there is one.
I don't know.
I don't know, but can we talk a little bit about the preview for next episode?
Oh, sure.
Jeff's
sure.
wave.
Jeff's wave. So one of the best previews I think I've ever seen.
I couldn't stop laughing after Jeff got hit by that wave.
Yeah,
That
Jeff
was
gets hit
amazing.
by a wave. Looks like Michaela is going to take her top off.
Right? Michaela takes her top off, and Lucy begins to
Purple Lucy.
to put down the hammer of dictatorship on
a dictatorship.
Yeah, it seems like it.
Yeah, how about that?
Yeah, out of nowhere,
Yeah.
seemingly out of nowhere.
Really, that we haven't seen anything from Lucy the entire season. And then next week, all of a sudden,
She just steps into that vacuum, man.
She's
It's like ISIS in Syria, you know?
yes,
It
yes.
really is.
So basically,
Take out one dictator.
So Paul was like Saddam Hussein.
Correct.
And then,
Correct.
and then they took him out, and he was keeping the other bad guys
Exactly.
at
Exactly.
bay.
Yeah.
Love
Yeah.
you, Bay.
Yeah, exactly.
And so then now that this has been a vacuum,
Yeah.
And-
In storms Lucy,
right.
waving the flag
Right.
of whatever her flag is.
So really, Gen X Jessica is the architect of the dictatorship.
Yeah, absolutely. Jessica takes a lot of blame for this.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see how it all unfolds. So who's your right now, based on 3 episodes of watching, who do you think wins this thing? Because I said Michelle, so you can't say Michelle.
Okay, I won't say Michelle. Chris was my winner pick at the start of the season. I'll stick with Chris.
And Chris just got blindsided.
He did get blindsided. That's true. But we really the only thing I'll say in his favor with that
is that he looks like Mr. Incredible.
He looks like Mr. Incredible, and that we've seen winners get blindsided. That I didn't see anything, and I don't want to get into the Edgic discussion. I know you love Edgic.
I love Edgic.
But
even though I'm not an expert, I just love it.
Yes.
Okay.
But even in terms of like when we get into like the winner edit, like they didn't show him like being you know, completely dead wrong and
Right.
humiliated on
Right.
that. It's just like,
Right.
oh, this is something that happened, but we hardly got any reaction from Brett and Chris. So to the point where they were on the wrong side of the vote, but it wasn't like
But
that
we didn't
they
really see any
they
of
didn't
Chris.
come off looking like stupid idiots that they got blindsided.
But they kind of did. Chris was the one that it was like strongly about voting out CC before the vote.
Yeah.
He was like,
he was a little hard.
He was like, it's hard to see her go, and he's like, no, it's not.
It's not hard to see her go.
It's not hard. She needs to go.
Yeah.
Which to me does not suggest winners at it.
Okay.
By the way, last season I think I said like, oh yeah, definitely Michelle's out based on Edgic, and I got roasted.
I mean, that same podcast that we're talking about with Tony, we've declared there's no way Tony is the winner of this
So I
season.
think what you can take out of this is whoever we say doesn't have a chance,
We're dead wrong.
Bet on those guys.
We're dead wrong. Absolutely. Let me see anything else from this episode. A lot of people wanted to know about you and your texting. Tony writes in, not Tony Vlachos, the Final Four from Panama and Borneo have all played at least once. Do you see any parallels between the two? And what other Final Four of five have been knockouts? Great Final Fours and fives.
Ooh. Well, I mean, it is kind of amazing that our Final Four, all of us have played again, because you could make the case easily that Suri should have played again. Perhaps you could make the case that Terry should have played again. But Danielle and I, to be fair, I'm going to be really honest, we were a stretch. I was justified because I had my brother who made our relationship interesting.
Yes.
But Danielle and I weren't like people that other people were like, you know, knocking down doors to see play again.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think of other Final Fours where I like to see other people play.
Mm-hmm. Well, again, to go back to Cagayan, I think that's another one. I mean, the Final Four in that season is, you know, Tony, Cass, Spencer, and Wu.
Right. So that's there's three.
Three out of those four
Yeah.
have played a second time.
Wait,
and who knows? Maybe one day. Maybe
is going to play.
Well, who's to say, Aras?
Is he not on the next season?
I mean, what do we have? A crystal ball over here?
I'm pretty sure Vlachos plays.
What are you thinking? Fourth dimensionally?
By the way, I'm not spoiled next season. Just let the record show. I told you that.
Let the record.
I want the podcasters to know I'm not spoiled.
Let the record show.
And I will not be spoiled.
Will not be.
So 4 out of 4 for Cagayan.
Yeah.
That's kind of amazing. So are we supposed to not know who went out there, or is it like announced yet?
I think you're supposed to not know.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah.
3 out of 4 for Cagayan.
Yes. Okay, let's see.
Is it weird that not that this is a knock on this season at all, but is it weird that I'm already really looking forward to next season?
Hey, look, let's
not because this
live
season
in the
isn't
present,
great.
Aras.
Thank you, Zen Master.
Yes. Yes. Let's see.
Not because this season isn't great, which it's not, but because next season promises so much. That's all.
This is a question that just came into us less than an hour ago. Since we started recording, this question came in.
Okay.
This is from Shannon. Shannon? I probably pronounced that wrong.
Shannon?
Okay. No,
Are you familiar with that name, Rob? Shannon?
Why? Who's Shannon?
Just, are you familiar with that name? Because Shannon is an interesting.
Okay. Chanan.
Oh, okay. Well, I take it back because usually Shannon is spelled with an S.
Yes.
So maybe I'm wrong. Okay.
Well, I mean, I think I'm a semi-intelligent person. If a name was spelled out Shannon, I would know how to pronounce that.
All right. Fair enough. Fair enough. All right. What does Shannon say?
Okay. Hi, Rob. I have a question for Aras that does not pertain to the episode, but I would
Aras,
appreciate
please,
if
Rob.
you would.
Aras,
Okay.
please.
I can't keep track.
I can't either.
Okay.
I can't either. It just depends on the day.
Okay. I just finished my 6th rewatch of Exile Island. Okay.
6th rewatch.
6th rewatch.
Go on.
Okay. And it's one of my favorite seasons.
Me too, by the way,
I should hope.
Shannon.
After not going back into it for a while, I was surprised to realize that Danielle's game isn't as bad as the online community makes it out to be. Josh brought this up in the evolution of strategy, but I'd like to hear from Aras what's his opinion on Danielle's game, looking back objectively, if he can illustrate why he believes his game was better. Well, this is like go back to the final tribal council.
Is this the 8th final tribal council question?
Yes.
Thanks, Shannon, for bringing up old shit.
On the 7th viewing.
Danielle was a good player. I think Danielle, at least on our season, where she
Captain of sports.
Where she lacked is where you talked about relationships. Mm-hmm. She didn't make as deep a bonds as I made, and not that I was like the greatest player in the world. I was just the greatest of my season. No, joking. Sort of. No, she was good. She made good choices. She didn't let emotion rule her for the most part. And she just didn't make deep relationships. She made a deep relationship with Bruce, but other than that, she didn't really have a lot of meaningful relationships out there. And that's not to say she was a bad player. I think she was a good player, but I think that's where she struggled.
Yeah. She was scrappy.
She's scrappy. I mean, she finished in the top 5 twice, right?
No.
Yeah. She was 4th, wasn't she?
On what season?
On All Stars.
No.
Where'd she finish? 6th?
I think it was maybe
Google
like
it
7.
right now. No. She finished way better than you think
Yeah.
she did.
Okay. Well, where's your wallet? Let's get some money on this.
Where is my wallet? I think it's down by the food.
I think she's like like 7th
I'll
or
bet
8th.
$5 right now that she finished at least in the top 6.
Top. Okay. Can we go higher than $5?
$10.
Okay. How about this? That now you paid for my lunch.
Okay.
Then we're even. We're even. I want to bet the what.
You want to bet the guilt off?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
Yeah. I wish
Deal.
I could
All
bet
right,
the
deal.
calories off.
But if I win,
Yes. What do I have to do?
you have to mention Christy Dawn dresses at the next podcast, but not as if it were like some sort of. You just have to mention
I will
it.
change the name of the show to Rob Has a Podcast presented by.
Yes, presented by
Christy
Christy
Dawn
Dawn. Next
dresses.
episode. Yep.
Okay.
This episode.
Every episode from
Okay.
here
You
until.
think she did that poorly?
I mean, just to talk it through. So
Just Google it.
All
No,
right.
don't talk it through. I want results.
I want to show my work.
because I feel like you can talk it through afterwards.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm not
right,
going to
while
need
you're
to.
Googling it, talk it through.
All right. So the final 3 is going to be Sandra, Parvati, and Russell.
Okay.
And then Jerry is in 4th place. And I think Colby is in 5th place. And Rupert is in 6th place. And I'm not even sure if is that maybe Danielle 7th?
I think she's better. I think she's in 5th.
No, she's definitely not. She's definitely not in
let's
5th.
See. Let's see. Come on.
Let's see. So going back to Survivor Wiki, this is scintillating podcasting. Okay, so going back to Heroes versus Villains, she gets voted out in a double episode with Candace. I remember that vividly.
Oh my gosh, I'm so nervous.
Okay, don't be nervous. Okay, so going back. So here's the winner is Sandra. 2nd is Parvati. 3rd is Russell. 4th is Jerry. 5th is Colby. 6th is Rupert. 7th
Oh God!
is Double
we're even.
D.
We're even.
We're even.
Okay, well then I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I'll be the second to admit I was wrong. You were the first.
Yeah.
Damn it! I thought she did better than that.
No.
God.
right
well,
there.
all right, but she did pretty
Good
well
one
in
out
her
with
second season. Like,
Candace.
she finished 7th in an All-Star season. That's
Hey,
not
better
bad.
than I did my second time.
Better than I did my second time.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I finished 11th my second season. I think
Hey, I'd take it.
you would. Yeah.
I'd take it. All right. So then
Damn, I really thought this was going to be presented by Christy Dawn. I was so looking for
this episode can
This
be.
episode. No, I know.
This
I don't
episode
want it. No,
can
I
be.
lost the bet. Do not.
This
I
episode.
refuse. I
No.
would like you to say this episode is not presented by Christy Dawn.
Today's episode of Rob Has a Podcast is not presented by Christy Dawn.
That's right.
Is it .com?
Sure.
Okay.
There's a .com. There's a store. The .com is online and the
Okay.
store is in real life.
It is not presented by ChristyDawn.com. We do not suggest
Visiting that site at all.
This is not sponsored, and don't go to ChristyDawn.com.
If you were planning on buying a dress, don't buy it from ChristyDawn.com.
Yeah, that's it.
That's the bet. So
Yeah. you
damn,
go.
I can't believe I was wrong. I'm surprised that I really thought she finished like 4th or 5th.
No,
Clearly I was wrong.
she didn't.
She did not. She
did-
did not.
She did
Was
not.
Jerry pissed that she didn't get into the final 3? What
Yes.
was Jerry's response?
I mean, I can't give you like a retelling of what every single
Do you
person's
feel
reaction
like
was.
you will ever see Jerry at Burning Man?
I will never be at Burning Man, so that Jerry may
What
go.
would it take to get you to podcast from Burning Man?
Boy, I have absolutely no desire to go there. I would rather
Who would you rather go on Survivor again or go to Burning Man?
go on Survivor again.
Ooh.
Yes.
Ooh, that
Yes.
is interesting.
So I guess the answer to how do you get Rob to go back on Survivor? Tell me I have to go to Burning Man if I don't.
What is it about Burning Man that doesn't appeal to you?
The fact that there's a lot of people there. It seems crowded.
Okay.
It seems out of the way.
Okay.
You have to bring a lot of supplies.
Agreed. All these are true.
It seems very hot. Do you go to Burning Man?
I've been 6 times.
6
I
times.
saw Jerry at Burning Man a few times.
You go to Burning Man.
But I haven't been in 5
one
years.
time for every time Shannon watches Textile Island.
Yes, and if he watches it one more time, guess what? I got to head back to Black Rock Desert.
You're going back. Okay. I feel like this thing is drifting.
Yeah, my sound's gonna be all over the place.
All over the place. Yeah.
Yeah. I could see all those things are true,
Yeah.
and I think you'd.
And
hate
what
it.
do you do at Burning Man?
Well, so it's okay. So it is.
And do you see Jerry at Burning Man?
I ran into her a few times.
Yes.
At Burning Man,
And what did she say?
I haven't been to Burning Man in 5 or 6 years, so this is
Okay.
like years ago.
Yes.
But we still hi to each other.
So now I understand why you hate yourself.
Yeah, obviously. That's why I do yoga. That's why I taught yoga.
Yes. You don't do yoga anymore?
No.
That's why you have bad back.
Clearly.
Yeah.
Clearly. No, I still practice yoga. Just I don't teach it anymore.
Okay.
I stopped teaching because obviously I don't know enough to put a bad back at risk.
Yes.
No, but yeah, you would hate Burning Man. I still think you should go because it's a hell of an experience. But it's crowded, but it's not crowded.
Here's what the only situation where I would go to Burning Man where it was like there was some sort of like we were going, but then I was also like being filmed of my response to Burning Man.
Well, that's why I think you should go.
And then that would be like a fun.
Let's do this. Rob has a podcast supporters. Let's make a fund. Somebody make a fund to send Rob to Burning Man. I figure Rob would need a budget of about $3,000 all in. So if we all put $1
No,
in.
stop. We don't stop. There's so many better causes.
No, this is the best cause. This is the ultimate cause.
Not a great cause.
Wait a second.
Yes.
Let me finish this fantasy. So
yes.
If we raised $3,000,
right,
and we agreed to film Rob Goes to Burning Man, would you do it?
I mean, who would want to watch this? That
if 3,000 people each gave $1, this is like the Bernie Sanders campaign for you to get to
Burning Man.
Man. A grassroots campaign. Everybody wants to see it. Would you do it?
Look, if there was, I would do it for the audience. If there was some, if like the world was compelled
to
that
see
this
you.
meant something to people, where people
what if you went to Burning Man and came back
like
Jerry Manthey?
Oh my God! Like it all makes sense.
I know why Jerry was so pissed.
Right. Because it's a weird, like, there's like the people that go to Burning Man, and we're like way off track here, but we're like 2 hours into it of our podcast. So there's like people that are like sort of like whoa.
Right. And there's a lot of those there.
Right. Like the people that are playing Mafia and are telling you that they are definitely, they can't say what they are.
There's a lot of those people.
There's those people. But then there's sort of like these like Silicon Valley types that are there.
Which is there wasn't really when I was going.
Right.
I have to say this is a newer thing.
Right, that it's like, hey, I gotta go out to Silicon, I gotta go out to Burning Man,
Expand
so
my
I can,
mind,
so I can really like crack my idea for my business.
Right. Yeah, there's all that, and there's all the looky lists.
Right,
it's on my bucket list. I gotta do it.
Right. So
that being said, we're gonna take River next year.
For real?
Yeah, we want to take him.
What?
Yeah.
You take a kid to Burning Man?
There's a whole area for children. It's called Kidsville. That's where we always camp.
Kidsville?
Yeah. So like one of the years I went, we camped next to this family. The girl was 11, and she had been 12 times.
Yes.
Crazy, right?
Right.
12 times at Burning Man. She's only
12 times. Wow.
Yeah.
Go to Burning Man.
She was a really well-adjusted kid. And her dad was like, hey, can you watch her tonight? I'm going to go drop acid. And I was like, yeah, of course. I'm just going to smoke some weed. No big deal. No, I'm kidding. I didn't say that.
Wow.
That was a joke. God. Jesus.
Wow. So
but he really did ask if I could watch his child while he went and dropped acid.
You're no Gen Xer.
No way.
Wow. How did we get here?
I don't know.
It wasn't Jerry that asked you, right?
No. Does Jerry have children?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
Wow.
Yeah, no. Don't start a fund to get Rob to Burning Man. He'd hate it. I can tell you that already.
Sure.
Send Nicole.
No, Nicole doesn't want to go to Burning Man either.
Nicole would be hilarious.
Yeah,
her satire.
She'd hate it too.
Worse.
But
she'd be her comments would be even more directly
cutting.
Exactly.
Yes, like it's just angry.
Yeah.
Like at least like I feel like when I'm in a situation that I don't like, that I feel like I like to vent and make sarcastic comments, which I think are actually funny. My wife does not think they're
so
funny.
that would only enrage her more.
It would only enrage her more.
So maybe we should send Rob and Nicole to Burning Man, and we should call it surviving burning.
There is no art to my wife's complaining about things. It's just like, this is bad, this is terrible,
Right.
I hate this, this is stupid. I like
Well,
to
okay, I know we're not going to send you to Burning Man. Okay, I know
Thank
this.
God.
But I also really think you'd really like it. I do. I think there'd be parts you
No,
hated, but I think you'd be like, wow, this is
no.
actually really interesting and really fun. And it's like, you know what? It's like an adult playground.
Adult playground.
Yeah,
like
not like not in an XXX way, but
all right, then really forget it now.
like a Disneyland for adults. It's
Okay.
it's like anything you can imagine is there.
Yeah,
It's really cool.
really don't care for Disneyland regular.
I don't like Disneyland. Really. I went to Disneyland with my wife and Alec,
yes.
who is like essentially my little brother, and my son.
Yes.
And we went on a total of 5 rides. Each
Yes.
of us was $140.
Yes.
And we went on 5 rides. So
Yes.
you do the math.
Well, I'm actually going to be going in the next couple days.
When are you guys going?
Probably. It looks like Monday.
With the kids?
Yeah, I'm not going by
Or
myself.
solo?
I'm not going
No, but are you
solo.
taking both kids or just Dom?
Oh, I'll take both of them.
Okay, well, maybe we'll join.
Whoa.
Because I want to take Riv to Disneyland again pretty soon.
Okay. Well, you have to run this past Nicole because
Well,
I can't like.
If I promise that my child don't take his shirt off, can we come?
You have to. I cannot. I am not. I am not authorized.
Yes
to
or
make
no?
these
Was
decisions.
Nicole worried that she was going to have to be around people who didn't have their clothes on at River's birthday party?
At the birthday party?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
I love that.
That she was very good. Look, my.
It's like, Aras is a fucking hippie.
Yeah, well,
they don't wear clothes there.
she was concerned. She was concerned that there
Textile
were.
Island would have lost its textiles.
Right, that there was going to be that there were that when we went to, it was actually Tyson's birthday party.
That's right. It wasn't even River's
It,
birthday
it was
party.
at you. It was gonna at your house.
Right.
And that I told, and Tyson said like, "Yo, dude, you coming to my birthday party?"
Uh-huh.
And I had said, "Well, let me ask Nicole because she's off that day."
Right.
And
she's the boss.
she was concerned that there was going to be nudity at your party, and I'm not allowed to see other people naked.
This is a true story, guys.
Yeah, I'm not. There's no.
Was she worried about adults naked or children?
No,
naked?
I don't think the kids.
But there really aren't naked people at our house very
Yeah.
often. I mean,
Okay.
it's a
Very
rarity.
often. See, like, there's not even.
I think Nicole's referencing our wedding. When
Well,
there was
that's
like,
it. Yeah,
there was
there's
like
that-
40 people got
there-
naked and jumped in a pool.
Yeah, there's that story, and then I think that she's like, sometimes like these shopped on photos,
right.
like
That's right. We're
sometimes
selling sex. You know.
Well, look, and I look, so am I. No, I'm not.
Sold.
No, I'm buying. No, so she's concerned.
Listen, I like.
See, my
Nicole
wife
a lot,
is my
and
wife.
If I could
is,
bring River to Disneyland and share it with you guys, we would. That's all.
my wife is a very puritanical Gen Xer.
Yeah, agreed.
Yes,
Agreed.
Doesn't want any sort
My
of
wife's a millennial, so it rubs off on me.
right. No free love or anything like that.
Right, exactly. No pun intended, I guess, with the rubbing off on my part.
Yes, absolutely not. All right.
All right. Well, are we done, or what else we got to talk about?
I guess I don't even know who's still listening.
I don't know.
But this was
Are we
fun.
giving them a hashtag?
Yeah, I tell it's got to be Textile Island.
It has to be, right?
Has to be Textile
Hashtag
Island.
All right.
And then, of course, don't go to
ChristyDawn.com.
ChristyDawn.com.
Do not go.
That's
And also, I just want to know via I'm like I said, I only go on Twitter after I do this podcast. So
Yes.
I'll go back on.
Yes.
Do you guys think I'll go to Disneyland with Rob and his family next Monday? Do you think I will take River? What are the chances?
boy, you have to ask.
I am so
Nicole.
curious to know if we end up going because it's going to take Nicole saying yes.
Yeah.
The
No,
timing.
Also, have we talked about this? That you're verified on Twitter since the last time that
I'm verified. I really am Aras.
Yes, that's really you, not an imposter.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Look at the last thing. You haven't tweeted since June. Tweeting about a soccer match, I presume. That's an early red card.
Yeah.
No context of the game or the hashtag, but it was just it's some soccer match. He said also had an NBA prediction: Warriors in 5, nailed it.
Hurtful. God, I was close. And
what's this? This
going
is
to be the Cavs in 7.
yeah, another great season of Survivor, even though Aubrey was robbed after party at the Baskauskas crib.
Yeah.
And then are you naked in this picture?
I'm naked, and my brother's wearing the shorts I made for myself. Look
Yeah.
at that.
Okay. So this is rightful.
This is why Nicole thinks that there would be naked people.
Yeah.
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 I think I'm wearing a toga.
Okay. Toga. Are these like, and then that's like fringe coming off the blanket?
Honestly, it's what my wife's mother made for River. Is like a basketball blanket, I think.
Yes. Okay. All right.
When was that last tweet? Was it like In April? When
I think it was in June. I mean, you were
June.
tweeting about the Survivor finale.
Oh, it
you were
must have been the
tweeting about
Euros. It must have been during the Euros.
the
huh?
NBA Finals, and then that's really it.
Yeah.
I think that if you don't tweet in 3
Look,
months,
Tyson's in my profile pic.
yeah,
And guess what else is in my profile pic?
nudity.
Nudity. Shocking.
Yes.
Shocking.
I think if you don't tweet in after 3 months, they should unverify you.
Oh, really?
I think
All right.
there's
fair
like
enough.
incentive to keep
Are you verified?
No.
We should get you verified.
Who's we?
The community as a whole. Crowdsource.
Good luck with that.
Editorial.
Good luck. Good luck. That I think that they might say, okay, send him to Burning Man first, and when he gets back.
If I go to Disneyland with Rob, I'll tweet a picture of it. Let the world know.
Okay, and I'll be naked.
Ooh, promise?
Yes.
Okay. Yes.
There we go. All right.
At least topless. At least topless.
Oh, sure. That's really what people want to see.
The world wants to see it.
Right. All right. Well, Aras, thank you. This was very fun.
Rob, it was a pleasure.
Thank you for lunch.
Yes, of course. Well, actually, to be fair, you kind of
We're-
bought it
we're
yourself.
yeah.
We're even, so don't thank me.
We're even. Anything else people should check out or not check out?
No, I life is good.
It's always a pleasure for me when you come up here.
Yes,
It
it is. It's I honestly I look forward to doing it every year.
Schlep all the way out to the valley.
Yeah.
You say whatever. Hey, you tell me the week you need me. I'm there.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure to be here, and you have great fans. Also, Rob told me previously he loves it when people complain in the comments. He really gets off on it. So any complaints, not enough thigh.
You've really like abandoned the microphone here late in the
I'm
game.
trying to talk to the camera.
Yeah.
I'm trying to talk to the camera. So, if you have complaints, definitely let them be heard in the comments section.
Oh, I don't think anybody is shy about like, boy, I was gonna say something about the podcast, but I suspect Rob doesn't want me to, so I won't post a comment in the comments.
Ooh, you hear that? You hear that sarcasm, people?
Nobody is shy about leaving negative comments.
How many negative comments do you get an episode?
Oh, a lot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's try to set a record this time, guys. If you're still listening, complain about me and my thighs.
Again, no one will have given any pause to. I was
But
gonna.
how many positives do you get? What's the ratio? And by ratio, I mean ratio.
It depends. I think it's probably 60-40.
Really, that bad? It's like a baseball winning percentage?
Yeah, it's not. It's not stellar.
Yeah, that always amazes me that like baseball teams that are like the best in the world are like 60-40.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
What are you gonna do?
All right. Well, I'll be sure to leave a positive.
Thank
comment.
you.
I'll leave a positive.
Thank you.
When? Yeah. All right. I'll see you at Disneyland.
Okay, see you at Disneyland. Also, thank you again so much to the listeners of the podcast making it through. Also to the patrons of Rob Has a Podcast who make these podcasts possible. To find out more about what we're doing for the patrons of Rob Has a Podcast, you can go to our Patreon page. Go to robhasawebsite.com/patron.
You could win a Wagoneer.
Yes. That's going to be one of the new incentives. That we're going to auction off a Wagoneer
We should auction off the Wagoneer that was meant for my birthday.
for Aras' birthday. All right.
Yeah, Aras' birthday.
Yes. All right, everybody. Have a good one. Take care. Bye.